What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to episode 7 of C4S Villains. I am your host, JB, and I am here, as always, with my co host, Legendy Vash. And we are here with two very special guests. Up first is a fellow Jaegerist and the host of the Spicy Lady Talks podcast, Spicy Lady herself. And of course, we also have the co-founder of Anime Lately and the host of the Anime Lately podcast, SamTheMangaMan. Spicy Sam, thank you guys so much for being here on the podcast.
Well, thank you for having us.
Hey, thanks for having me. Thank you.
And it's always here an honor to be here with you, James, every week.
Yes, this episode is going to be a lot of fun. We have a lot of stuff to talk about. We have some Blade news to talk about. We're going to be reviewing the first 2-hour premiere of Superman and Lois. And of course, WandaVision episode 8 is going to be a great time. So let's not waste any time here because Vash is on a time limit right now. He has some production work to do after the show, and we are very, very proud of what he's working on. So let's get into the news. And our first news topic up today, I want to get straight into the Blade news because this was really, really interesting. Now, Kevin Feige did not confirm whether or not it was PG-13 or going to be rated R, but he did hint that the Blade movie could potentially be PG-13. Now, I'm okay with that. Like I said on Twitter, I'm okay with that because simply for this reason, whenever we're introducing other characters into a Blade movie in future Blade movies, if it's PG-13, you don't have to switch up your style. You don't have to switch back to PG-13 to introduce Spider-Man or to introduce some other characters, right? Because if the Blade movie is rated R and these other characters come in, there will be some difference between the PG-13 version and the rated R. So to stop fans from complaining about something like that, just make it PG-13 and you can get away with so much shit in PG-13 you have no idea. The biggest things that you can't do in PG-13 is a bunch of fucks, saying fuck a lot, saying shit a lot, brain fragments, excessive blood. But without that stuff, you can still get hyper violent and you just can't swear a lot. But I definitely prefer if it would be rated R, but I get it. So Spicy, I know you had a lot to say about this. So I'm
sorry. Look, I grew up with a lot of Blade movies, so I'm just used to seeing this character be very so I understand what you're saying. Like I get it. Marvel's trying to do all that, but it's like, why Deadpool's the only one? Deadpool's the only one gets rated R. We can't. But like I said, I think they're probably going to go on the route of Blade being like a Black Panther-esque character, maybe for like that whole thing. So at first I was like upset. Now after like pondering it and like fully singing, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna trust Marvel because they haven't let me down that far. But at first I was like, no, like no. Because it gives me like Resident Evil, like Blade always gave me like that Resident Evil-less feel. So I'm just like, I'm used to that growing up. So I wanted to kind of see that again. And, current times, but, it is what it is.
I mean, compared to the older Blade movies, I'm pretty sure I don't want to see Triple H as the vampire again or as the main villain again for that. So we could pass on, we can move along from that. But yeah, you could still get away with a lot with PG-13 in any movie, especially it's just less cursing words. And if you really think about it, Blade doesn't really like talk much anyway. There's not much cursing. Dracula doesn't really do that much cursing either. I think it's just mainly going to be the whole blood and gore kind of effect that they're going to put within PG-13 compared to a rated R movie. And like you see horror movies these days, they just go rated R just because they want to swear a lot, but then really it's a PG-13 movie. And if that's the kind of feel that we could get for a Blade movie, there's not going to be much of a difference between PG-13 and an R-rated movie. It's just not going to be any cursing. And there's nothing sexual, anything that happens in the Blade, like anything, like nothing, none of that. So PG-13 is fine at its level, as it should be. R doesn't need anything from it.
Vash?
For me, like James said much earlier, is you could get a lot with how you shoot a PG-13 now. Much years later, like 20 years ago, you could only do very little of it. Now, 20 years later, you could get away with a lot of things, a lot of gore, a lot of blood, and it just depends how the camera shots shoots the film, to get away with the blood and the gore and the sex scenes if there is with Blade or anything like that. And yes, there will be no much curses. Like there'll probably be two fucks or anything like that. And Blade doesn't have to curse all the time. That's more of Deadpool realm. So Blade could just be as violent and as gruesome as he is. He's a vampire. And also a lot of shots could be shot in the dark, where they could get a lot of shots away with the gruesome, with the bloodings, with the killing of the vampires. So you could get a lot of things away with the PG-13. So for me, it's not that big of a deal if it does happen.
Yeah, and on top of that, right, when you look at the first Blade movie, look at the way the vampires disappear when you introduce Silver, or if you cut off their heads. They just disintegrate, right? They just turn to ash and burn up. So you can still do stuff like that, make it super violent, but as long as you don't have like excessive blood and again all of the cursing, you can still get away with so much. Like I brought this up in our chat yesterday. Like if you look at the Wolverine scene from X-Men Apocalypse, it was still pretty gruesome. Like you still saw body parts, you still saw blood. It just can't be excessive, right? Again, I would definitely prefer that the Blade movie be rated R. It's about a vampire drinking blood. Of course it should be rated R. All I'm saying is it being PG-13 does not mean that it's going to be that big a deal. And like I said before, it opens the door for other characters like Spider-Man, Morbius, all of these other characters to work with Blade without changing the elements of your film. I think it's a smart play. And in Feige we trust, you know? If Kevin Feige making it PG-13, I know it's going to be awesome.
I agree.
I want to ask you guys, would you want that the blood scene to come up, the blood shower to come in, like from the original movie?
Yeah,
I think that's something that like fans would want to see in this new movie as well.
Sure. And you can do that. You can have the blood scene. That's okay. You can definitely do that with PG-13. Look at the Punisher movie from the early 2000s. That movie was rated R, and that could have easily been PG-13 today. Easily.
But the Punisher Netflix one, that would have not been PG-13. That's definitely
that needed to be R. That needed to be R.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was like TV mature, like 16 or something like that.
Yeah,
because there was killing bodies.
Yeah, and that was
right.
Technically wasn't even rated R, and that was hella violent. You know what I mean? So you can get away with it. So next up, we finally have an official title for Spider-Man 3. So it's going to be titled Spider-Man No Way Home. Spicy, again, I'm going to start with you. What do you think about the title?
I feel like it's very befitting for how the second Spider-Man movie ended, where it kind of like it's all in disarray, and of course the multiverse that's getting introduced. So I think it's pretty much like it leaves a lot of questions to be said, which Marvel is really good at hinting and having the fans, you know, go through that experience where they want you to ask questions, they want you to have these theories with these titles and where they're going with it. So I'm excited. There's a lot of, I like the little like video they post of like all the names changes and how like there's the hexes like kind of introducing Wanda, and I was like, okay, I'm excited. So I'm really excited with the name. I like how they kind of trolled us in the beginning because, you know, Tom Holland likes to spoil his stuff, but you know, I think they do it on purpose.
Sam?
I liked how like they're doing the whole whiteboard and you see all the name cameo. Like, okay, Home Alone, nope, that's copyrighted. Different Home, like, Far From Home, we already did that already. And then all the other jokes and stuff like that. Copyright? Question mark? Yes, it's true. But yeah, No Way Home definitely fits for Spider-Verse. Literally, I can see how with Peter Parker going dimensions, trying to find his own, like his universe. But on his entire way, he's just seeing all the other Spider-Man from other multiverse, and they don't really need to say Spider-Verse. No Way Home could just actually fit perfectly well with its title of the movie for going into Spider-Verse. Actually,
yeah, Vash.
I honestly dig it. I know James was not upset, but more upset. Like, damn, I like my title better. Like, I know when he started Twitter, like, I think they should use my title. I think mine was preferred. But No Way Home, I dig it. I'm just curious to know what's the concept gonna be about, like the No Way Home. Like, is it because he can't go back home to Aunt May because his whole identity is revealed, or is it because he goes to? Also on Twitter, like a whole type of speculation of why it says No Way Home, and people says that because he would be going into other multiverse, going to different homes of Andrew Garfield, Toby, and everybody, but he'll never get to his home. So that's No Way Home, which I'm like, people be going to a whole theory just because of a title. So that's freaking wild. But at the same time, I'm like, I don't know. Like, the title seems cool. And what Sam spoke about, the whole different copyright names and everything of what they could use for home, pretty cool. But at the same time, like, I'm curious to know what is this concept for No Way Home. Because we knew about Homecoming. We knew about Far From Home. We have no clue what this whole concept of this movie is about yet. So I'm curious to know once the month of September, October comes closer, once we see a trailer or two by then, and then once we have some type of premise, then I'm curious to know what better picture idea we would have of No Way Home.
But so he looks like you were gonna say something.
I was saying, like, do you, because you know how Into the Spider-Verse they introduced the multiverse. Do you think they're gonna have like a little like cameo in the movie, like a little small little cameo from Miles? Like, I hope that'd be cool if they did. I don't they probably won't, but since they got like the Sony characters, like you know, with X-Men, I would love to see that just a little bit, like seeing Peter animated with Miles. Like, I would love that. That'd be so cute. Like, just for a second.
I do have a question.
Yeah, like I don't know if it'll be Miles, but I think we'll definitely get like a Spider-Verse Easter egg, especially knowing that Spider-Man 3 leads into Multiverse of Madness. So yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Vash,
in the chat they said that some of the titles had something about highlighter and said like with Green Goblin and everything. So do you guys think like that's gonna be involving as well?
Oh yeah. I feel like Green Goblin's definitely getting introduced. I feel like Green Goblin's like that pinnacle villain that's like that fun villain that you love to bring in to just cause chaos and something. I think that'll be so much fun to see. Like, just, I love Green Goblin, and like that's like all like the old Spider-Mans kind of coming together and like take over. Like, that'd be cool. But I don't know.
Yeah, I think that'll be dope. I have no, like, I don't know what they're gonna do with Spider-Man 3, and I'm okay with that. Like, I've stopped trying to like think of theories because it's like we're getting Electro again, we're gonna get Doc Ock again, so it's like I think we're gonna see those characters with Spider-Man going through the multiverse in some way. I have no idea how they're gonna do it, but I don't want to speculate too much.
I can literally see how like all the other villains are from the other dimensions and they just somehow meet into one to just discovering the whole Spider-Verse altogether, and they're just following Peter, and what Peter brought in was the Sinister Six or something like that. That would actually be cool.
I love to see that.
When Spicy Lady says the cameo, the good part about that is they don't have to even like hire new actors yet just for like Miles or with any other. They could just literally wear their costumes and everything. We have no idea who's the actor behind the mask, and that kind of gives us the whole like that kind of perspective of a whole Spider-Man universe, right? Who's behind the mask? Who's Spider-Man? That sort of thing. I think that would be amazing to be actually cool and actually really see.
Yeah, I can't wait to watch them explore like this world of Peter Parker's like identity being revealed. Like, it's gonna be interesting for sure.
I do have a question. Out of the ones that were not used, is there one that's your favorite? Like on the board, because my one was like No Place Like Home and Home Run. Those two were my favorite. That were like there.
Homeless.
There was Homeless. I saw that one.
I liked Homeless.
There was Homeless, and there's just a Homesick. I'm like, damn, yeah, really trying to go hard. There's one that said Close to Home, and then right there in the bottom, right there in the bottom it said Way Too Close to Home, and this hurts. I was like, damn, it does, wow.
I like the Work From Home. I said Aunt May says no. I was like, oh, it's so cute.
Yeah, they had some really, really cool titles. Like, mine was Home for the Holidays. I didn't actually think they would choose that. I only said that because I saw the Christmas pictures. I was like, oh, Home for the Holidays. That would be interesting.
I think that's also trademark too.
I'm sure it is. But yeah, No Way Home. I mean, that could mean a bunch of different things. Who knows? I'm just excited to see like what it means once we actually get the movie. It's happening this Christmas, right?
Yes,
December
Yeah.
17th.
Christmas.
Okay, yeah. Cannot wait for that. We also finally got a release date for the Loki series. That's going to be June 11th. That's
Mhm.
dope. Um, so that pretty much means that we're going to have like a little gap between the Falcon and the Winter Soldier and then Loki.
Makes sense.
And plus, Black
Mhm.
Widow is supposed to come out, but that's if it still comes out with theaters and with Disney Plus or Access or Premiere, I think it's called.
Yeah, I think Black Widow is going to come out in theaters, and then after 30 days, it'll be in theaters and on Disney Plus at the same time. What do you guys think?
No, I think that's the best course of action just to
Yeah.
do. Especially for Disney Plus. I'm just kind of hoping they're not going to do a whole special access where they're making people pay in addition, like pay $30
they
just
are.
to be able to stream it. Oh man,
They are, and most likely I'll be the ones to buy it just to know what the hell's gonna happen, or who knows what it is. Maybe if we could watch as a disco party, and then just one person pays, and we all chip in like good $2-5. Hey, or just call it a day.
I mean,
I'll watch the wiki. I'll read the wiki because I just don't.
Oh, so just like
It's a prequel. Like I really don't care about her like now.
Her
But
family.
back then maybe. But now it's like we're getting Riri Williams. I don't care about Black Widow. I'm sorry. I really don't care. I want to see Riri. I want to see the Hulks. She-Hulk. I want to see everyone else. I really don't care about these two movies. I only care about the madness with Doctor Strange. Everything else I don't care about.
I mean, Hawkeye had to let go, so I guess you let go already. So
I'm sorry.
I'm glad Sam said the reference. I was about to do it. I'm like, but then if I said it, I'll be like, Miguel, you always do that. But I'm like, I'm glad Sam did it this time.
Like they waited too long to make a solo
yeah.
Black Widow movie.
hmm
We already grieved and moved on from Natasha's death, and then we have to watch this complete movie where she's going to do all of these amazing things. And it's like, yeah, but she's dead. You should have done this earlier, like way earlier. Like this is the wrong time. Like instead of Thor: The Dark World, you could have gotten us a Black Widow movie. God,
that would have been fine. That would have
Yes.
worked out so well because and then you would have maybe like her death with it in Infinity Wars 2 would have been more impactful because you gave her her own movie and you're gonna kill her off like this. Like
Yeah. It's almost pointless at this point. But I mean, I think the movie's going to be awesome. I can't wait to see Taskmaster. I want to see all of the other Black Widows that were trained going after Natasha and Florence Pugh's character. I can't remember her name. Yelena? Yeah. Yeah, so I can't wait to see all of that go down. But I mean, I just feel like there's no stakes because at the end of the movie, she lives because she makes it to Endgame. So it's like there's no real stakes going into the movie. So I don't know. We'll see how that goes. Last news topic I wanted to talk about was the Blue Beetle movie that's going to be made by Angel Manuel Soto. I am very excited about this. I would have preferred a Blue Beetle TV series.
Mhm.
I think there's so many layers to Jaime's character. There's so much you can do with him being Latino and him being a Latino superhero. So I feel like it would benefit more as a TV series, but if you're giving it to me as a movie, I'll take it. What do you guys think?
Like I said in the chat, I'm really concerned with it. I'm excited because I love Blue Beetle. Like and the previous Blue Beetles, there's so much lore behind the superhero Blue Beetle and all that stuff. But I also love Jaime, so I'm excited. But it's just DC likes to make things very like grudgy, and I'm just really concerned with how they're gonna go about it because his character is more than that. Like he's the first Latino superhero in the movie. Like I want us to do well, so I don't want DC to make it like just another Justice League or another like whatever. Like I really want them to do it right, which is why I agree. I think a TV show would be a good starting point to where maybe once we like introduce a character like that, people are like more receptive to the character, more like willing to research it, and then maybe we could get a movie like later down the line. But I'm just really concerned.
So
That's fair.
So for me, I'm the same because when Kevin Feige announces She-Hulk, Blade, Moon Knight, there's a reason for those announcements. There's a reason for the story, and it's gonna move the story along and the strings along of the MCU. He knows what he's doing. He knows what he's building. He's building a whole universe. He's building stories in phase 4, phase 5, phase 6. Who knows how many more he has planned. But when Warner Brothers / DC announces movies or TV shows, it questions me to know, like, what the fuck y'all doing? Like, what are y'all announcing? Like,
They don't even know.
Like, are y'all just announcing, oh, we're gonna do a Blue Beetle? I'm like, okay, but who asked for it? Like, us comic book fans, we want it. But does the regular audience, like, does my fiance, does my mom, does my cousins, people that are not comic book fans, that have no knowledge about the Mexican heritage of Blue Beetle, actually know about this, and will they be excited for it? Like, if you put Wonder Woman, okay, they know about this. They put Batman, they know about maybe Dick Grayson, Tim Drake, and all. They have the Batman family. But when you announce Blue Beetle, like, are people gonna go out and see it? How are you gonna market it? Are you gonna market it to the Mexican audience? Are you gonna go and shoot in Mexico because that's where he's from? Or are you gonna show his background? That's important. So when they announce stuff like this, it's like, what the fuck y'all doing? Like, that's why I question more than more my excitement. Like, what is your plan for this? Is there a grand scheme for this other than just shooting and get some money for it? That's it.
That's the answer right there, because it's just, I feel like I'll watch WandaVision with my sister, and I will like catch Easter eggs. She's like, I like the show. I don't know what's going on, but I like it. Like, Marvel does a really great job of pandering to both the comic book audience and the neuro audience who doesn't know. I really wish DC would just take from that book and just go on, because I fully love DC with all my heart, but they're not worried about creating a universe. They just want to put out these characters and see, you know, the who's gonna watch or whatever for money, whatever, and it's just like you're messing everything up. Because look, now, like, the actor who plays Cyborg is gone. The Flash movie, I was excited, now it looks like a mess because it's like they're just adding all these characters. I'm like, okay, I love the like, it's just like, it's so much going on to where I'm just like, how is it all going to make sense in the grand scheme of the universe you're creating? Because right now you're just throwing stuff out and it's not making sense.
Yeah, like you guys are saying, like, to me, this just seems like an executive move. It's like, currently our DCEU is filled with a bunch of white people and one black dude. So let's get a Latino. That's what it sounds like to me. Like, these executives, like, all they see are numbers, right? Justice League. One of the biggest problems with Justice League is that they were forced to make it 2 hours. It was a mandate that, including credits, it had to be 2 hours so that they can maximize how many screens and how many times the film could be played in a day so that they can make money. They're not concerned with making good comic book movies. They're not concerned with making good movies. They're concerned about dollar signs, and they're concerned about the people watching their films complaining about diversity, and they're throwing in Blue Beetle simply because of that.
And meanwhile, the whole was Cyborg's actor. I keep forgetting his name. Like, that whole big thing was all because of like what was going on set. So y'all just like ignore that. I'm just like, so what's going on here? Like, there's so many other, like, I don't know. I don't have the answer for DC. It's giving me a headache. Like, I really don't know what they're doing, but it's just all money, and it's really sad because it's like, Marvel understands that, but Marvel also knows that, like, the fans make the movies.
Both worlds. Like,
they
fandom
make
and
it.
the money in the wealth. They do know how to balance it for sure. DC, it's always been profit over fandom, because they know, like, the comic book fans will always buy seats constantly, almost every single day, to rewatch certain stuff, even if it's like not really great. They'll just want to keep watching to complain, and that's all what they really care about.
The DC fans are toxic. They're toxic. They're toxic. I'm not toxic. I'm not, trust me. But they
like constantly watching bad stuff to hurt themselves, just so they can try to hurt other people and complain and stuff like that. And it's sad. And what DC is doing is like literally putting families into these seats and trying to make it more versatile. I guess they want to go into the Latin American culture. Well, not culture, but like literally have their audience and try to see if they can like come in and have them buy tickets and sit down and watch these movies. Especially, well, not now during COVID, but like still, like, if we could have them stream, and if we can have a whole full theaters of 100%, and we can have Blue Beetle by next year, it might not be in the best quality of it either.
If there's not care in it, then like no one's going to believe it. If you're just putting it out just to put out, like, oh, diversity. Okay, but was there care in it? Did you have diversity on set as well as behind the scenes? Like, so much goes into it that it's just like, why are they flopping like this? Like, I really don't understand.
Yeah, because they don't have a plan. They don't have a plan. They don't actually care. Again, they just want to make money, and that's the difference. Like, Kevin Feige is a huge comic book fan, and he's just a really good executive. Like, that's why the dude is the president. That's why he's the overseer of everything that happens. Like, he understands that what fans want to see are just good movies, good TV shows, and people will show up. Spicy, you brought up WandaVision. Like, my girlfriend doesn't read comics, but she's not confused about anything. The only thing I benefit from being a comic book fan is that I figure out things before other people. Like when we got the Agatha Harkness reveal, I just knew it early because I read comics, but it's very easy to understand because they realize that they have to cater to all audiences. All DC does, they make these stupid generic movies just to make money. And then they complain that their films don't make money. Look at all the the restrictions you put on Justice League. Why do you think it failed? You didn't give them enough time to make the film that they wanted. You didn't want to give Zack Snyder the money that he wanted to put everything in that he wanted. And then, like, as much as I don't like Joss Whedon's cut, he was also under a lot of pressure from the studio. And Joss Whedon shouldn't have tried to turn the Justice League into the Avengers. So everyone's to blame. You know what I mean? But that's why you have executive producers. The executive producer is the head of everything. They hire the director, they hire the writers, they hire the casting director. It is your job to look at this and be like, you know what? This just doesn't work. Even if we want it to be 2 hours, this is not enough time to make a good movie. And let's just do what's best for the audience. But they just don't. It absolutely pisses me off. But that's all we had for news. I want to get into our 2 main topics. And main topic number 1, we're going to be talking about the Superman and Lois premiere. Spicy, you want to go first?
I took some notes. Okay.
The girl grab a whole notebook. She's like, all right, time for my 2 pages of telling you why it sucks.
So I'm gonna turn it up today because I'm mad because why was the quality so good with this series? Like it visibly looks separate from what we've seen with the DC like CW shows. So I'm really concerned because I'm like, is this gonna be a quality for all the new ones coming out? Like Naomi and I don't know, because you said Wonder Girl got canceled. Like, so I'm just like, what's going to be the future of the Arrowverse? Because this series, this could have been with Supergirl. Like, why wasn't this the same quality as Supergirl? Like, it's night and day. Even with the character Superman, Tyler Hoechman's character, he's visibly a whole different person than what he was on Supergirl. So I'm just like, what? And they're like, oh, the world needs a Superman right now. It's like, are you doing it because it's Superman, or are you doing it like because like all the other shows are gonna get a quality boost? I generally don't know, but it seems like they're doing it because it's Superman. So that really pissed me off. The score was amazing. I'm like, why is this score so good? Like, I was really mad. The pacing was decent. The effects were decent. The quality, like, I just was like, where is this in the Flash? Where is this? And Legends with my girl Vixen. Yeah, like where did this magical budget come from with this show? Like, I'm just like, I was really pissed because I'm like, why? Okay, I'm calmed down now. I had to get that out because I was just like, why? But yeah, I like the characters. John and Jordan's dynamic is cool, separate. Jordan's kind of irritating. I love John. John fits the whole Superboy. They even call him Superboy. Yes. I love that. I was like, yes. I don't believe he doesn't have powers. I think they both gonna have powers. I don't think they're gonna do that. Clark and Lois, they're cute. I like Lois Lane's dad. They have him be the asshole than what he's always been in the comics and everything. So I do like that. But it's a decent show. I like the show. I didn't want to like it, but I like it. So I just hope I see that quality in the other new shows coming up, even the ones we already have. Like, just share that wealth with all of the whole DC TV universe, CW verse, because this seemed like a CW show, like Supernatural type thing. Like, I was just like, I
I
know.
wouldn't, I wouldn't get your hopes up because the budget was so good because they had to make a really good impression because it's the pilot. If the
Yes.
pilot doesn't look good, no one's watching it. I'm
That
telling. And to
Very
answer your
true.
question about why you didn't get that Superman on Supergirl, and we've talked about this in
Yes.
your podcast, the reason why Superman didn't look that good, didn't act that good on Supergirl was because the Supergirl formula is to make men look bad to make the women look good. That's
Mhm.
their formula. They brought Superman into Supergirl to make him look weak, just to make Supergirl look stronger. And now they have to backtrack and do all of these different things on the Superman and Lois show, which I'm okay with because I feel like and I hope they realize that they made a mistake and they're trying to fix it. I want to give my quick thoughts and then I'll move on to Sam and then Vash.
Sure.
I think the show is decent,
Mhm.
right? Overall, it's okay. There were a lot of things that I did like. I did like the Lex Luthor introduction. I like that
Mhm.
the show is a post-crisis world where
Yes.
this Lex Luthor came from this other Earth that was gone, and now he comes to this Earth and is going against this Superman. I think that's really, really cool. I love the dynamic between Clark and Lois. I think they actually feel like a real couple, and this is like, in my opinion, one of the best Lois Lanes we've ever gotten. She's a great partner. She is strong. She's supportive. Even though Superman is physically strong, mentally she's the strong one in the relationship, and that's what you need in a partnership. You need your partner to pick up the slack where you don't have that. So I love their dynamic. The kids, I don't I don't like them because they're a product of the CW. We know in every single episode they're going to be whiny, bitchy teens at the beginning.
Oh
They're
yeah.
gonna learn a lesson in the middle, and then they'll be good in the end. The next episode they'll be whiny and bitchy in the beginning. They'll learn something in the middle, and then they'll be fine at the end. So I just have to get used to that formula. I like the introduction of Lana Lang and what her character is doing with like the bank and all of this stuff. And whatever agency is buying up all of these properties, I'm curious to find out who that is. I think it's Lex working behind the scenes. That's going to be interesting. So there's a lot of stuff that this show sets up. So I'm excited for the show. The pilot itself, I thought it was just okay. I like all of the Easter eggs, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But the last thing I'll say right now was the only thing that I don't like is how he looks in the suit. I think he looks absolutely ridiculous. I think he looks worse than Zachary Levi in his Shazam costume. I think he looks ridiculous because when you look at him in his flannel shirt, his chest is not that big, his arms aren't that big, and then he gets into the suit, and then his head looks really
it's super
small
pads.
on this huge body. He looks fucking stupid. But that's my only thing. I think he's great as Superman, but I think he looks absolutely ridiculous. Sam, I'll pass it to you.
Okay, so yeah, so this whole entire series is going after infinite Earths, and everything is all together into Earth Prime. The thing, like what James, I agree with James. I think this episode was decent. Like it was not bad, but it hasn't fully hooked me in yet. Because usually, like we were talking about like the first episode pilot shows, like for Flash, Arrow, Black Lightning, Supergirl. It's all about their intro story. This we're gonna skip. We're gonna go just shorten up the beginning, skip all the way to the middle, and like literally go straight into the future where Clark has been Superman for, I'm gonna say, maybe 15, 20 years, and we don't know like what other villains were within that past. We don't know if Lex was in that past either, or anything. We're just getting straight on family orientated Superman and Lois, or at least portraying some kind of family ties version of a Superman show. And I don't know if it's CW's way of, so we're gonna have Superman shown this way just so we can tell this side of the story of Superman. And it's not that I don't dislike it. This is actually something like a different side of Superman that we've ever seen, going like into fatherhood. Because I don't recall any comic books or TV show where you see like Clark being a whole family man while also saving the day and that sort of stuff. But when you think about that, in reality, it is a struggle to balance of both. You can't be everywhere at the same time. Even someone that's all powerful like Superman cannot be everywhere at the same time, no matter how fast he is. But at least they try. He tries to be. In the moment when he were to flying all the way to his mom, because after he heard that she died, that's what Superman would actually do right away and instantly. Hear everything around his surroundings, like even like if you're like whispering anything, that's what he heard from his mom, like come back home. um I think it was really cool. It's actually a really nice way to say like, okay, time to go back into the farm life since you're no longer employed anymore, you're not a reporter like with Lois. You can focus on being a father and being a farmer boy again, like you were in, like if it's Smallville. Like we're literally how when I'm watching that behind the scenes, it seems to me like they want to preserve the 2001 version of Smallville. They don't want to like recap it, reverse it, no, nothing like that. Just preserve it as it is, as one of the monument shows where we can look up, we can watch the show with all its stories and all its drama. We can like use that as reference and look up to it. But instead, in this universe, we don't have any story. We don't have any idea what happens in the middle and the beginning part. We're just all the way into the future, and we have no idea what direction is going. The only same continuity is that Clark's father dies. Clark moves to Metropolis to become Superman and works on a daily planet to meet Lois. That's the only thing that's the same within continuity, and everything else just completely different. John Kent, we all know from comic books, and we've all seen he was the Superboy from the comic books and stuff, and now Jordan Kent, a whole completely new kind of like Superboy, I'm guessing from this sort enough, but it's different. It's definitely weird. And with CW's formula of when they're creating like a whole drama TV shows, it sometimes turns me off. Like it's a whole like they should have just left the whole high school drama, like teenage life story. You're having 20-something-year-olds playing high school teenagers for whatever the fuck reason. And CW loves to do this because they're doing it with Riverdale. They do it for Nancy Drew. They're doing it for all the other shit. They should have just left it at 2017 and making that whole Teen Wolf reference from Tyler. Because I'm making that reference. They should have just let it die from that situation of 2017 after Teen Wolf. You're good. You don't need to do it anymore. Do not reboot any more high school shit. You're fine. But I feel like they're gonna use that high school teenager drama shit to fill up the entire show, and I'm really hoping they're not gonna do that. Like they need a good balance of both, which is okay, that's fine, but do not like force feed me with all this teenager drama bullshit and that whole what Jane just said. They're being rebellious. They have to learn this lesson, and then they finally learn. Like, oh god, don't force feed me this. Like I'm so sick of. I've been watching this for like. So much of these shows has been happening for over 10 years. Let it die. Give us something new. Anything new.
Yeah, man. It's frustrating when you know the formula. Like you see it instantly. Like one of my biggest issues with like the Flash was just seeing that formula with Wally West and with Jess Quick and Nora. It's like it's the same shit, bro. Like they're super annoying at the beginning of the episode. They learn something and then they're not annoying at the end. And then it just repeats constantly. And you know we're going to get that on this show. And I'm okay with them skipping all the in-between stuff. Like that's things that we know about Superman and Lois that we don't need. Like I am interested in this family element. It is something new, like you said, Sam, that we haven't really seen that much on TV and in movies. And it is really hard to balance being Superman, being literally the savior of the entire planet, while being a supportive father and husband. So you brought up a really good point, and that's something that I'm really excited to see that this show does. But Vash, I want to toss it to you.
So I did my research while you guys were talking. So the show has 15 episodes. That's why it has more aesthetic and better budget. Because when you have 23 episodes, like Flash and Arrow and some other shows on CW, like Supergirl and everything, you have less budget per episode. But if you're 15 episodes, you're like Legends of Tomorrow and Black Lightning, where it looks better in aesthetics, animation with the CG, and with the whole superhero aspect. And the actor that plays Jordan is 16. And the actor that plays John the Cat is 19.
I thought they were starting high school because the whole football team.
No. I'm talking about the actors in real life. I'm talking about the actors in real life. Sam.
Jordan looks like a baby. When we look at him, I'm like, he looks like a little cute little boy you see at school, or he's just like.
that's one thing I'm happy that they're actually around their age, the same age they're acting, because like we saw, like Sam mentioned, Tyler Hoechlin and the other kids, like for example in High School Musical, most of those actors that were playing 16, 17-year-olds in high school
35.
were actually like 25, 27, 30. I'm like, when I did my research, I'm like, wait, yeah, we're playing high school kids, and yeah, we're like 10 years older than y'all were
Monique
supposed to
was
play.
like 32. I was
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh.
I'm like, damn, yeah, we're
But Black
close
on
to
Crack.
past. That is true.
And some of them are parents too. I was like, oh.
And plus with Tyler Hoechlin, when he did Teen Wolf, he was 23. So I'm like, it's like, wait, you're
Still
23, like still good looking and everything.
Yeah.
But to know now that he's playing Superman and everything, to add to what James was saying earlier of how his suit looks, I agree. His suit with those super pads on him, my dude looks horrible. But the aesthetic of the suit looks amazing, though. I wish they just slim down. I just wish they slim down the super pads and just go better with it. Because I'm like, I agree. I texted in the group chat to James and Sam and plus to Spacey. He looks good when he looks with his shirt, his button down and everything, with his suit. My dude looks brick, looks nice and diesel. I love it. But then when he go to your super suit, and I'm like, why do it look like you just gained like a whole rock suit, like an extra type of 50 pounds? I'm like, yo, my dude, like tell her, like, I met you in person. You look good in person. But you do not look like The Rock in person. Like, there's no way you go into that. So I do agree with what James said. I just wish they slim down because the aesthetic of that new suit looks better than any of the suits it is. And I see the type of resemblance they try to play to our boy Henry Cavill, because it looks so much almost like Henry Cavill's suit.
Yeah.
But it has the CW type of vibe. So I like what they try to, hey, you know, you guys will get a Superman movie in the future, but for now, just have this nice aesthetic suit in the meantime. The CG type of VFX, the fight in space and they go to China, looks way better than I thought. It felt like a movie type of vibe. It looks like TV type of budget, but looks almost like a movie budget. So I could tell why it was so short, that fight with Captain Luthor, and it was entertaining. I was like, yo, this looks actually good. And this was watching me on my phone, like on my phone quality. So I'm like, oh, this actually looks very entertaining. So I was very proud of that. And to add about the whole TV episode pilot aspect, I enjoyed the chemistry of Lois and Clark and the whole Superman, because that's what were my favorite comics, of him to know how to balance of being a father, a husband, and a hero. That is very hard for any type of parent than to choose a hero, but to know how to balance that as a worker, to know how to balance a husband and as a father, that's our biggest task, because you're busy. And to know that Clark and Lois talking about like, hey, you should have listened to me, you should have told the kids much younger, and also the kids to notice, hey, I've met Superman, I've seen him. I'm like, if you have met him, how do you still not know that's your father?
And that's
they have their mama's eyes.
That's what pissed me off. That's what pissed me off. You mean to tell me you don't know who your daddy is? Your dad's like the Beyonce of superheroes. How do you not know your dad's Superman? Dad's see me tell me this man Clark comes home from saving the world and has to pretend to be Clark Kent in his own home. You can't just be you can't. Why?
So many excuses of saying that.
There's no way the kids are not like hearing through the doors or hearing through the kitchen. Like, oh, I've been a kid and sometimes I eavesdrop my own parents and like they don't even know. So there's no way these kids were whole
like,
goody
why
two
is
shoes.
Uncle Lane always coming to our house every day to talk to Dad? Does no one notice that? Like I don't know. There's stuff and classify information. Like why? It just doesn't make. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I did not believe it. I was like, there's no way.
That's kind of the reason why like I have a small problem with them skipping the entire middle, because I would have loved to see more of the romantic relationship between Superman and Lois, because we know like Superman has saved Lois plenty of times, and then throughout the relationship, even although Lois still didn't know during that time that Clark was Superman and stuff like that. I would have wanted that at least.
I think we get that a lot in all the movies, and I'm kind of like tired of the whole like saving Lois Lane type thing. I like how they've been changing her like.
I get that, but like with Lois, I love it when she's like technically her own boss. She's really sassy. She's actually very more powerful. I felt like during at least give her this time, she should have like lead the whole Daily Planet herself. Like she actually is the boss of it by then, because this is portraying the future. I would have at least see like Clark doesn't work in the Daily Planet anymore. perfectly fine, perfectly fine. But at least I would have seen Lois as running the Daily Planet as the head chief, but she still goes out to be a reporter. Like she goes around the world to report these kind of news, like the dangers and stuff, because she believes
in
what's
Supergirl,
right.
they even said that like Lois Lane like this top boss, like she was moving up, like
Yeah.
she was on like the top magazine. So it made it seem like she was like high up, almost like executive level. So like to like what's her name? Who was Supergirl's boss? Like her
Cat.
level status. Yeah, Cat Grant. Like she's making some there on that same like executive type level. So for her to just be still a regular reporter, I was like, okay, so are we pretending Supergirl doesn't exist? Like, are we just like forget about that or what?
But what bothers me is that they never fixed the continuity, because if you remember what happened in Infinite War Crisis, when Superman was flying back because he went to say bye to his cousin, when he was flying back, he spoke to his wife, and then when she said, "Oh, the twins are asleep," so that means that he was thrown off, because when he left before Crisis, he knew that he had one kid, and then after Crisis, he found out that he has two kids. I wish that they addressed that too, because that was something that should have been addressed, at least in the show, at least a flashback. Like, at least in the beginning of his monologue, he should like, "Oh, I once had one kid, but because of a mistake that us heroes made, we now have two kids." I wish that was
Like
addressed.
Arrowverse?
Yeah,
I mean, I feel like it's implied. I feel like you didn't need to waste screen time doing that, because we already know what happened with Diggle. Like we spent
Yeah.
with that happening with Diggle. So it's like seeing that happen now, it's like, oh, that's because of Crisis, or because of, well, it wouldn't be because of Flashpoint, but it would have been because of Crisis. You know what I mean? So I feel like it would have been wasted dialogue to do that.
Sure.
Spicy, to your point about them like not knowing their dad is Superman. So when Jordan was playing Injustice, which I thought was really cool,
I did like that.
Yes.
that was funny.
when he said that Superman was lame, I was like, is he saying that because he's upset with the fact that he knows his dad is Superman, and because his dad is never around, he said that he was lame in front of him to like hurt his feelings or something? And then we realized that that's not the case, and he really didn't know. Superman has been in newspapers. These kids have the internet. How do you not know that Superman's your dad? It's so stupid. It's like, I thought they would have gotten away from this at this point in time. They would have gotten away from the whole Clark Kent glasses thing. I'll take them off and now I'm Superman. Like, are you kidding me?
So question: did you guys notice that when they were doing the reveal to his sons that he's Superman, did you notice the whole camera shots of him taking the glasses? Like, oh my god, this is the big thing in comics, glasses.
I think that was like a troll. I felt it was a troll.
Well,
like, look, we're doing this again. Like you're doing this trope, guys. Like like
that was the point for the whole camera, like showing the whole glasses thing, because that like his their mom even said like, oh, it took me a while to also notice that that was dad, he is Superman and everything, and he had to pick up the car just to show them proof. I'm like, you could have just shown some type of super speed, like
which is something I've always called like bullshit on. Like, Lois Lane is a Pulitzer Prize winning reporter. This woman is highly intelligent, fearless, and you're trying to tell me that you worked with this dude while simultaneously dating Superman and doing reports on him, and the difference is glasses? That
I do like I said, I like Colonel Lane. Colonel Lane has the most sense of everyone, because he's like, I told you want to get married, but we need Superman. So if you want to play house, the world needs this man. So you want to have your little kids and everything. Now you got to deal with the consequences. And I like that, because she was like, I get it. When you're a mom, when you have a family, I understand the aspect, and that's enjoyable. But I don't like that pressure you're trying to put on Clark like that. Like, what do you want him to do? Like, he can't just check out. Like, you kind of something he heard them like, oh, it's another power plant. Like he was like checking out. Like, I don't want to go to work today. And she was like, okay, go. I'm like, first you're yelling at him to be around more, which I get. But you knew this. Like, you married, like he said, he was like, you thought you married Clark. You married Superman. Like, we keep forgetting that. You married Superman. This man is Superman first. Like, Clark Kent, his alter ego, he is ultimately Superman. He's an alien. So I just didn't like. There's just a lot of little plot holes where I'm like, is that believable? Like, but.
So to that point, right, it bugged me too, because she has this one line of dialogue that I really respected, and I'm glad that they wrote this into the show, where she says, the world will always need Superman and you will always be there, but right now your family needs you. And I'm with that, right? Like his mom just died. There's a lot going on with his kids. That was not the right time to leave. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, but hundreds of people, thousands could potentially be dying. But I'm okay with that because that's a very human response, right? Like she knew what she was getting herself into, but in those moments, she's still a human being and it's still frustrating. But in other parts, like you were saying, Spicy, like she still has these complete, like unrealistic expectations of like what he has to do as Superman. Like, do you not realize that there is someone out there that is as strong as me, can move as fast as me, that's attacking nuclear power plants? We can deal with this family shit a little bit later. Thousands of people could die.
Metropolis getting destroyed and everything.
Radiation and nuclear fallout. Like he has to make these sacrifices, and you have to be okay with it. Like,
to
add as well, so out of this whole storyline and concept, my favorite was the Clark and Lois with Jordan, knowing about anxiety and everything. So I love how they push on that because that's something that a lot of TV shows don't do. But the whole concept of the kid actors of Jordan and Jonathan, like I wish it was a CW trope. And also, it's shocking that like they're not. CW is more known to hire good-looking actors and actresses. And when I see Jordan and Jonathan, like, yeah, like not that good looking to be playing.
They're adorable.
No,
they're adorable.
I don't know. It's like when I met them, like I guess I give you a pass. I guess like yeah, are cool.
Yeah.
Like it's like I expected more. And like when they said Jonathan Kent don't have powers, I'm like, if y'all don't give this boy powers, I'm gonna be dumb tight because this boy from the comics is Jonathan Kent. That's his son. Jordan Guy is just a brand new character. So if y'all give him powers, yeah, better give Jonathan. And I was mad. It's like I wish y'all just did the trope of Jonathan Kent or Karna Kent. I would have been fine with that. But when you just gave him a whole new name, Jordan Kent, like, are you trying to give shine to Michael Jordan? Or, like, what is it? Or it's just Jordan Kent? Like, what was the reason for the name? But I would prefer Karna Kent and Jonathan Kent because that gives more to the lore of the comics. And then maybe we have some type of connection to Star Labs and more to Lex Luthor. But I'm really curious to know what the storyline is because with what I said earlier, this is 15 episodes. So I'm curious to know what is going to be for the storyline for the next coming months for these characters and what are they going to do with Smallville. And is what James said earlier, is Lex Luthor buying all the property? Does he know that what's going on with Clark Kent and / Superman? So what is a bigger deal? And with Captain Luthor, what is he gonna be in this portray? Because he knows everything about the whole lead, the whole speed and everything, and he's getting stronger. He's gonna build more speed and everything. So I'm very interested in this character as well. And plus the actress, very tall from what it seems. So I'm very curious to know.
So to help answer some questions, I think the reason why they put Jordan, because like Jonathan Kent is Clark's human father's name, Jonathan Kent. Jor-El is Superman's real father from Krypton, so Ben Kent. I think that's what they were thinking of, just so that they have the first 3 letters of their name and stuff. So Jonathan Kent, John Kent, Jor-El, Jor Kent kind of thing. I think that's what they were trying to come up with Jordan Kent, that sort of thing. I think the reason why they didn't give Jonathan Kent the powers first, because I think it would have been too easy. Because remember in the entire narration, Clark said that like John was so easy. He was like the football team. He was like the very popular guy. He had so much confidence. He had so much football skills. But Jordan was a struggle. He was like they were like both polar opposites from each other. And it's where like where Jordan has like anxieties. He's struggling from social anxieties, and now he has his superpowers to go with. He had to take pills to help like calm him down mentally. I think it's just to cause more drama and more like difficulties, because like it had been so much more easier. You give a new Boy Scout his own superpowers and whatever story you want to come up with. But I think it would have caused more drama if you give it to the polar opposite of the personality of what Jordan Kent is into of John Kent is into Jordan Kent, and give him the powers and make him go through the whole entire responsibilities of a superhero, maybe that he doesn't even want to be a superhero. It gives you perspective and an idea of an opposite is what I got from watching this first episode.
So I think they're just blending a bunch of different stuff from the comics, right?
Oh
Because
yeah.
Mhm.
John was also, a Superboy in the comics as well. And Superman, in depending on what you read, he did have twins. He had twin girls at one point.
Mhm.
Hmm.
It's just, I think they're just mixing a bunch of things together. And I actually think that John might not get powers because it's easy drama for the show.
Mhm. Exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's easy drama to try to tear the twins apart because I feel like eventually John will get jealous that he doesn't have powers. And it'll also drive a wedge between John and Clark and Jordan because they can bond over their abilities and he'll feel left out. So
Mhm.
I feel like
Mhm.
that's drama that the CW will definitely build on. So I actually don't think that John will get powers. Yeah,
It's just it's that, but I feel like that's like the go-to formula these shows do, where
Yeah.
it's like, like this is the obvious, but we're gonna go obvious in a different route. 'Cause as soon as he said the night terrors, and like basically all of the
Mhm.
things that's all of like the burdens of superpowers that Superman has on a child, like that's easy to do. And I know Lowe's like, oh, your anxiety doesn't have anything to do with your powers, but it does. Night terrors, you can hear people's thoughts, you can hear people all across the world. That can
Mhm.
mess with your mental, your like that's yes, I knew. I'm like, yes, Jordan has it. Like, I knew it. I just that's just you just know off the bat. You just know like that's they want to go in that direction because it's easy and it's like it keeps people like, oh my god, like that's just
And,
it's overused. It's
and,
so overused.
and plus his personality reminds me a lot of Connor because Connor has anger, anxiety
Yes,
because he doesn't control his
yes,
part because he literally just came out of being
a
made. So
newborn.
so newborn and everything, and technically Jordan is gonna be in that realm because he technically has been having these powers, but he never knew about it, like knowing this night terrors, anxiety, and everything. So I'm curious to know how they're gonna tackle it. Hopefully they continue the aesthetic, and I agree with what Spicer said much earlier about the score. It looked fucking beautiful. It had the Smallville aesthetic
So
and everything,
good.
and hopefully they continue it because it's a 15 episode budget, and if they continue 45 type of minutes now, because they said it's a 2 hour premiere, but it was dead as an hour, but most likely with the short premiere, so much commercials most likely. But overall, love the score, the aesthetic, the way it was shot, the film and everything. But hopefully they continue with this type of budget in each episode of the pilot, and I can't wait to see what they bring at the end of the day. And I just want to add my favorite line, not the best line, but my favorite line because it was just funny to me. You may have been sent here to be a hero, but for sure you weren't sent here to be a father. That was my favorite line. It was not great, but it was just funny as
Cry
hell.
me a river. Oh, good lord, it's so annoying.
yeah, it's so annoying, and it's only in there to force drama.
Mhm.
I didn't believe it. I'm like, okay.
Because I mean, to a degree, he's right. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, Superman has prioritized saving the world because that's what he knew. You know what I mean? And now that he has these kids, he has to switch up his mindset. And I'm okay with it because this is their attempt at humanizing Superman.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
But I just have a problem with the CW lens. They
Same.
just push way too much drama for no reason, and it's
Mhm.
really frustrating. But I want to move into WandaVision, so I want to get you guys' final thoughts on Superman and Lois before we move on.
So I want to say Lois is more towards the whole mom aspect more than her reporter aspect. Because instead of like you see a little bit of it, it's like let me do some research about this bank real quick and like how come like uh Superman's Clark's mom had to do the whole loan and everything, the bank forgiveness and all that stuff. She usually could just do this by herself really quickly and all that stuff. She does it on her own, but instead she plays more towards the mom like aspect because I'm gonna say like we're gonna use the Lois Lane's childhood where her father was all military, only to train her like literally full on military, barely a father at all, and she's trying to make Clark like a better father than her father ever teached her, even though the captain, the lieutenant, like Lois's father, actually likes Clark. He actually likes that he's a Boy Scout and all the Superman and stuff like that. And it's like because you could tell, you're like maybe you could take Jordan and John and Jordan out fishing and stuff. He tries to be a grandfather, but he wasn't a good father in the beginning of her life. Which I get her where she's coming from in her actress role, but I wish there was more towards her reporter role where she does the work. She's her own boss and she will do everything onto it.
Well, I think that's why they're doing the whole like the whole buying up of the loans is to keep her busy as Superman does Superman stuff, and train, and the kids do their crazy kid stuff. Superman, she does her reporting stuff, like to just keep her busy, like the multiple like PVs, I guess. So it's like,
Yeah, I mean, Lois will definitely have her thing. We just have to wait for more episodes, right? Like this is just the pilot. We'll get more of her because she will be doing the bulk of the investigation, all of this mortgage stuff, like you guys were saying. So I'm very excited for that. Again, like I really like the actress. Like I think she does a really good job as Lois. Their dynamic, like that is the one thing that they hit perfectly. Like I think their dynamic is even better than Henry Cavill and Amy Adams. Honestly,
I agree.
Yeah.
their dynamic, their relationship, the bond between Superman and Lois, it's way better. But of course, they've had technically more screen time too. But I just think that the writers for the show just has more insight into what that relationship is supposed to be, and I prefer it. Vash, do you have any final thoughts?
Me and James will be talking about it week to week. Depends on if we're entertained. It depends that if it's actually good to bring some type of discussion, and hopefully it gives us an entertainment value. That's the most important thing. That if the show is at least a par, to at least give us more lore and move the story along. And plus with CW, I just have some hope. I guess I'm just Superman from the last son of Krypton. I have hope. That's all.
Actually, real quick, did we had like was Superman always able to touch kryptonite and pull out the needles and or whatever shank that Lex Luthor always stabbed? That's whatever he did to stab him with it.
He could pull it out. He's just in pain.
Okay.
He just in
Okay.
agony
Thank you.
pain. Like it hurts. He just takes a bit to get back up. That's why he took it out and threw it. I don't know where he threw it because he just literally went shoo. I'm like, you do know somebody else could just grab that, right? And he just about to land on some type of China type of concrete.
Yeah, they used the whole like I think they're trying to make it as a China aspect, but there was like it's really San Francisco with the whole tower. Literally used the whole poof, he got thrown into like a whole souvenir shop of all the Chinese aspects and stuff like that. Yeah, that sounds like a whole old school movie, like just to throw a character into it just so it causes disasters and stuff, and it comes out. That's it.
I want to know where Luthor is going to find the rest of this kryptonite, because if you remember from the trailers, he has like a briefcase like full of kryptonite, but at the end of the pilot they said that was the last sliver of kryptonite that he had. So where does he find it? Like, does more kryptonite show up on Earth post crisis? Like, because we know that some people ended up on Earth Prime, but maybe other things in the galaxy are changed. So I don't know, maybe he finds like some like crater somewhere and finds more kryptonite. Who knows? That's something that I'm really interested in. And I'm mainly interested in this Luthor character. Like I feel like just that little glimpse that we got, I feel like he's going to be a really cool antagonist for Superman, and I can't wait to see where it goes.
Better looking suit too, actually. I gotta give his props for the suit.
Yeah, like that gave
Batman versus Superman. Superman Returns or
series vibes, like that like super suit that he made. And I love that fight scene because
oh no, we lost James. Oh no.
And he was just in the middle of the whole conversation. But what about the suit of Captain Luthor? It was
I'm back. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we hear
you.
you.
We can hear you.
Apologies. I have no idea what.
Nope. Yes.
I've lost him. No.
He's back.
You were saying about the suit, Miguel?
Can you guys hear me now?
Yes,
we do.
hear you
Okay.
Back.
Oh no, we can't.
Apologies. I have no idea what's going on with my computer.
Go no worries.
You want to continue?
Yes, I hear you.
Can you hear me?
Okay, yeah, there we go.
Okay, cool. Yeah, but I was just saying, like the ice breath, the laser beams, none of that stuff work. His super strength, none of that stuff worked. So I thought that was really cool. And if he's going to make an even more advanced version of that suit, oh man, I can't wait.
The knowledge too, like, oh yeah, lead, you can't see through lead, and that's why I know everything about you, Superman. Like, okay, incredible, cool. This is the Luthor that we actually ever wanted in the whole live action show for sure. So I can't wait for that. Him being more paler than usual is a little weird though. Like I think his entire head, like after he took off his helmet, he looked like a Brainiac white kind of thing.
Really? He looked dark skinned, but I couldn't tell.
That looks like a black dude.
Yeah, but I was saying,
Really?
Sam. I was saying that
No,
looked like a black dude. I'm like, Sam, you sure you saw that correct? Because that person looked black.
I was watching on TV. I was like, wait, what? Like, how come? I thought like for sure, like, was it supposed to be Brainiac or something? Like, oh no, it's
Spicy.
Luthor. Okay.
Yeah, Spicy. You saw a dark skin too, right?
No, actually, I thought he seemed like, I don't know. I thought he was bald. I just saw the baldness.
Yeah, the ball part is
white
fine.
man.
Yeah. Yeah, bald white man. Exactly. That's what I saw too.
All right, so we have two bald white men or two black men. Who knows? We'll find out next time on Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, but just from the little glimpses of this Luthor.
No, we lost James again.
He was gonna give his last thoughts about it, and he couldn't get into it. Wow, okay. But guys, those that are watching and everything, we will get right into WandaVision right after James comes back after this commercial break.
Commercials?
I feel so bad. I feel like it's me. I'm just bringing all of this like stuff that's not supposed to be happening.
Am I back?
Yes, you're back. You're good.
Back.
What I was trying to say is that this Luthor seems very Thawne-like. On his Earth, they've been doing this for years. He's been fighting Superman for years, and this Superman has no idea who he is. So I think that's really, really cool that they have this dynamic that he's going to go up against a villain that knows literally everything about him, and he knows nothing about Luthor. So that's going to be really, really cool. All right.
The advanced technologies too that he has and everything. It feels almost futuristic as well.
Yes, very futuristic. So I can't wait to see where he got this tech from, because I feel like the tech is very Kryptonian too. Like when I saw his ship, I was like, could that be a Kryptonian ship?
I didn't want to like speculate too much. I was like, is this gonna be the Lex Luthor Brainiac combination that we had in like the animated series kind of thing, where you have technically Brainiac's all of world knowledge with Lex Luthor's incredible smartness and together. Maybe that's why we saw the whole like white and then we saw the black ball guy. Everything. Speculating. But yeah, let's move on to WandaVision.
We will see.
Yeah. All right, guys. It is time. It is time to get into main topic number 2. It is time to talk about WandaVision episode 8. Like, I knew we were going to get a lot of backstory,
Ooh, so much.
with Agatha, a lot of stuff with Wanda, but I did not expect the things that we got into this episode. So first, I want to start off with some of our favorite moments, and then we can go into some other stuff from there. So as always, Spicy, I want to start with you. What were some of your favorite moments from WandaVision episode 8?
Man, I think Agatha stole the show. This is Agatha's show now. This is Agatha's show.
Mm-hmm.
She's calling shots, and I loved her villainous, witchy like personality, like so like condescending but like vibrant, really animated, and kind of like pulls you into like where she's like, you know, I'm a sweet but really I want to get something out of you type thing. I really like the actress, and I found out she actually plays Doc Ock in Into the Spider-Verse. So I think she's been practicing this villain role for a while. So I just loved her. I love going back into the Wanda's past, how she was looking at all the clues to try and piece together what Wanda is, and in the end she kind of like, okay, I get it now. Like I love it. Like I loved her. I love Agatha so much. Even her backstory, how she again plays the whole like, oh my god, no, like please just let me get one more chance. And then she's like, stop with the deceitfulness. She's like, I can't help it. I'm just like, yes, deranged. I love that. I love a good villainess. I really do. So
It was awesome. Vash, I'm going to toss it to you. What were some of your favorite moments?
I love how when I said last week that the last week was the last week of sitcoms, and this week came, I was like, oh, no sitcom. I was right about that. So that's 1/3 correct on my end. And there was no opening either. So I was like, damn, this feels weird. There's no opening this time as well. But my favorite moment is to see how Agatha literally, instead of calling the shot, she was opening the doors, like seeing the past of Wanda and then see the present, and knowing that we're like literally closer to seconds at the finish line of saying that she had powers all along, like mutants. but she never knew how to access it. And her touching the Infinity Stones, one of them, which Agatha like realized that okay, it gave you more access to powers, and showing that I love how the power of editing could do so much. Cause Captain Hayward, or technically Dickward, literally like to call that she stole Vision. In reality, he lied to people saying that yeah, he stole Vision. No, all she did was open the door, broke the glass, and literally said, "Alright, I'm out of here. You can't. You gave me my grievedness that I needed," and she left. And then after that, she went to the house. I mean, to the town of Westfield, and literally chose in a different car that people try to pour her into, and she just broke. She was broken. She was at her last stand of footing where she can actually understand herself, and I love that because we needed this whole type of full circle to understand what the hell was going on in this past episodes, and this was important.
You
Yeah.
said stone. I love the Scarlet Witch design in the stone. I was like, yay! Can we get that with Phoenix, please? Can we get that with Phoenix though? I want it with Phoenix, but yeah, I was like, yes.
Sam, what were some of your favorite moments?
So okay, from what I caught from this episode, we only need to know a little bit about Agatha, which was fine. Her backstory, technically betrayed her mom, kind of the whole similarities of what Loki and Odin had to go through and stuff like that, which is pretty cool. It was fun. And then like it kind of feels like Wanda was the creator and everything, and it's just that Agatha just put herself in there to just be, hey, let me be a director real quick. Let me just change this. Let me kill this dog real quick. I was like, okay. Cause this drama, cause that drama. Everything that seems to do with anything, but it's just my study of what Wanda is, because she's not a normal witch. From her aspect, she just wants more power. Agatha wants a lot more power. She wants to learn how the Scarlet Witch, which she finds out much, since this is actually the first time we actually hear the name Scarlet Witch within the MC universe. That was actually amazing. I was like, I thought this was a myth, and then like it's like your magic is chaos magic. You're the Scarlet Witch, and I was like, okay, that's the most incredible scene. That's actually one of the most biggest reveal scene in ever. And even though like the MC universe advertised Wanda's name of Scarlet Witch, Scarlet Witch, Scarlet Witch, finally they have put a meaning of what that name is, and it's literally from that episode, from episode 8, and that was the defining moment for me in that favorite episode from that part for sure.
Yeah, one of my favorite moments was just at the very beginning, just seeing Agatha during the Salem witch trials, bro.
Mhm.
And watching the other witches try to stop her because she betrayed the coven by accessing dark magic. And the fact that she killed all of them, she killed her mother, all for ultimate power. And then we learn so much more about that basement, that it's pretty much it's just a room to amplify her magic. All of those symbols on the walls were runes to amplify her magic. All the rules that she makes comes through with the runes. I love all of that stuff. Like, this episode sheds light on so many different things. Like you guys already alluded to, the fact that Wanda never stole Vision's body.
Mm-mm.
Which is amazing. Once we get to the mid-credit scene, and we'll talk about that once we get to the end of the episode. But my favorite stuff was with Agatha. Like, all of this is just her genuine curiosity. She's not some basic one-note villain. This is all just curiosity. She's not necessarily evil, and she's definitely not good. She's in this weird gray area where she is just a witch who wants more power. Something else that I love, she talks about transmutation. She talks about all of these different forms of magic that Wanda hasn't even done yet. And all that means is that we're going to see Wanda use those abilities in future movies. So I love that was an amazing setup. So while we're there, because I kind of want to go through all of the different beats that this episode went through. So let's start at the beginning. After we get the Salem witch trial scene, we're back into the basement, and Agatha is talking to Wanda, and then we get to the first flashback, which was back in Sokovia. What did you guys think about that? Spicy, I'll start with you.
I loved it because it started to answer a little bit of our questions, to where I'm like, are those really her parents? since she has these powers. Is that is that her dad, really her dad? Maybe her mom is, but it's just so many questions. I love the Stark Industries technology because it kind of starts how they Ultron, how they keep recommending you to watch Ultron because it just explains the twins' backstory about how they became, you know, Hydra agents and how they got their powers and all of that. So I love that, and how sitcoms ultimately help calm Wanda down to use her powers, like since she was a kid. I love that it was consistent all throughout how it was like she's an emotional character. She's so OP because her emotions are so amplified. So seeing how TV shows and sometimes her family calms her down to just use her powers without even knowing. I love that detail. Come like that's ultimately how we see these emotional like I keep saying Phoenix, but Jean Grey, two emotional women characters who are OP with because their emotions can ultimately cause chaos wherever they go. So I just love how it was like she keeps our calmness with sitcoms and how why this all started because of all that. And I love how we'll get into later, but like the three Trinity type thing, like completion, you know, like, I love that whole thing. I'm like, this is, but yeah, the whole scene with that, like how like that was her first time using her powers. Even before, I was like, in my notes, I was like, Wanda had powers before. I was like, what? So I loved it. Like she's not a mutant. I don't think they're going to mutant route, but they're just saying like the whole witch thing because I don't think they can say mutants. But
I think, didn't like, Agatha? Oh, you used their powers. You used the traits. Like, no, the bomb just defective. Did not activate.
and she used that. You used a probability spell. She was teaching Wanda all throughout these things. Like all this, she was teaching her like you use this. You're a witch. You're a baby witch. Wanda was like, what? I can't even get through this trauma. She's like, okay, next.
Yeah, but it makes sense though because
like she just like.
It made sense though, because Stark Industry technology was like all war weapons, and most of the time it doesn't always work. And that's like they've been selling like weapons that don't work to like other terrorists groups and stuff like that. And that was the entire reason of how Stark Industry kind of built up and made its money back in the day before like Tony took over and became Iron Man and stuff like that. But I kind of love how the family, like the father loves sitcoms and they always have the family night watching TV shows, everybody stuff. You had to practice English because in case we're going to go to like America, US, we're going to have to learn English and know how to understand it and watch and stuff. And if you see him open a book, no, his briefcase showing all the sitcoms, like the whole I Love Lucy, the Malcolm in the Middle, all the other shows, like her love of sitcom shows was thanks to the father that raised her. Like you can like, it brings up the whole stuff like if that's not her real parents, like I mean like they weren't your father, but he was your daddy kind of thing situation where like they raised her. It was an unfortunate accident, the whole bomb situation, and the mom looked outside the window, a war was going on in Sokovia and they got taken down because of a Stark Industry bombing that happened in that building, and stuck in under that bed for 2 days. That trauma literally builds around you, and it's emotionally like crazy hurtful. And the doors that Agatha shows, like, so remember this door? Remember how this door looked like? Like, oh crap, memories comes in. Perfect way to go into each dimensions.
Yeah, it was absolutely amazing. Like I love the fact that they've officially retconned the fact that she got her powers from the stone. I love the fact that they've introduced that people have had abilities before the enhanced even existed. I definitely think those are her parents because I mean, look at the X-Men comics. Just because you're a mutant doesn't mean that your parents are. Everyone has the X gene. It's just it shows itself in some people sometimes. So I definitely think those are her parents. And much like we already knew, this confirmed for all of us that the reason why she chose these sitcoms were because this is what she grew up watching. And again, I have said this multiple times, this is Wanda dealing with trauma. Like these happy families that she sees in these sitcoms represent something that she's never had in her life, right? Past her parents dying. That all of that happiness was removed from her. And for her to regain that happiness was to relive life through these sitcoms. And in these sitcoms, people get hurt, but it's not, they don't get any fatal wounds. They don't actually die in these shows. And that was the happy life that she wanted to create for Vision. So I really love that flashback. Vash, what about you? What did you think about that first flashback to Sokovia?
It was beautiful because it showed that we finally understand why it's sitcoms. That's what our girl Darcy asked. Like, why sitcoms? Like, she was wondering, like, why is it that we have sitcoms? And we finally get the answers because Wanda, like, wants to see happy life. And Vision even asks later, like, why do you like to watch this? Like, oh, they didn't really get her. It's more in the comedy aspect. It's more, it's like she told her brother, it's like, it's not really scary. It's less scary, but more in a comedy way. And that's what we ourselves like to read comics, like to watch television, movies, and horrors because it's not real, but it gives us entertainment. It helps us escape, and that's why Wanda wanted to watch sitcoms because that's her escapism, and that's the beautiful aspect of it because we see that whole type of psychosis of how it worked from childhood because she already did that in her brainwaves that she wants sitcom to escape, and that's why when she went to the town of Westview, she made this whole town as a sitcom for her to escape her sorrow of Vision, her brother, and the whole trauma that she's had all over the years.
I actually liked her quote in the end too, like from the Van Dyke episodes. Like in the end, it was just a dream, and people were they're all right and stuff
Beautiful.
like that. And like that was her only like kind of her calm, saying over and over again, just like it was a dream in the end. Everything was be okay, and then calm. Like it was her only way to cope with all the trauma that she just experienced right now.
Yeah.
Sorry, James. Go
But
ahead.
you're fine. I love that this episode also explains why Vision couldn't leave the Hex. It's because he's a product of the Hex. He doesn't exist outside of it, therefore he can't leave, which is absolutely insane. So let's move on to the next flashback where we get to Strucker's lab, where she is being experimented on. We find out that all of the people that came before her could not survive them trying to use the Mind Stone to enhance them. We now know that Wanda survived simply because of how amazing she is and how powerful she is with her chaos magic. So what did you guys think about that flashback? Spicy?
Again, it gave me Phoenix Jean Grey, except type thing where it's like she's badass, this is a source, and we come to this powerful source. And again, I love how even before like we got Wanda and her like retro costume, and then we also see that in like the light of the Mind Stone coming into her. So I just love that like final power up that she got, and it was so beautifully animated. I really like how Marvel gives us these movie qualities and TV shows, because it was just, that moment was so intense and it was so exciting. It was so much, and I just explained so much, and I don't know. I feel like it was perfect. Like I really loved it. And again, she's watching her shows again, chilling out. So I just loved that consistent flow of all throughout these parts. But I love the whole Mind Stone and like the Scarlet Witch coming into her. I was like, yes.
I agree with that because what Chris said as well in the chat. I'm so happy that we finally got more information from a character that was otherwise underdeveloped, and that's so true because of a character like Wanda introduced into the Avengers, introduced to join the Avengers. We never got her as a character and how Wanda and Vision worked together as a couple, how they had conversation. And not to jump into with the whole other flashback next, but when Wanda and Vision were talking, they were also watching Malcolm in the Middle. We also know more that there was more conversations that they had other than what we saw in the whole type of Avengers film. There's more things they shared because they have a room next to each other and how their relationship built. But I love this aspect where it shows that Wanda got her powers by the whole Infinity Stone, but it shows that she's more connected, more of her magic and everything. So that was very informative because more things we get as a background, more layers of a character, is more type of understanding we have of a character and how we can relate to them.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that she was already born a powerful witch. The Mind Stone only enhanced her abilities even more. That was so trippy. So my thing is, I want to see like what happened to Pietro, right?
Yeah,
like so did Pietro also have like latent abilities, and then the Mind Stone also enhanced him, and that's why he survived? Was it Wanda's love? Like, did she like think really hard, oh my god, I heard them say that other people died during this process, and she like subconsciously used her powers to protect Pietro? Like, I think any way that goes, it's extremely fascinating.
From what I got from it was that we learned that both Pietro and Wanda were just volunteers and stuff, but really they were just being like lab rats experimented into the Hydra group, and all they wanted to do was just change the world, which what we got from Ultron. They weren't just full on just terrorist groups that works for them and stuff like that. They wanted a whole entire change for Sokovia and everything else. And if you guys remember, like they were looking through camera of Wanda, like her watching television, and they kept going back, rewind that, play that. Her powers was her watching the sitcom show of what's going on, literally stopped everything. We don't know what's going to powers. It blocked and stuff like that. I think it lightens, helps her abilities if she watches sitcoms. It gives her more of a build up and powers and abilities in that sort of way. I feel like it builds up more of her emotions and her stuff and feelings, and that's how she gets more of her chaos powers in general. Because like, since we're gonna go into the next door, she just voluntarily goes in there just because she remembers the moment she had with Vision, the literally a whole one-on-one talk of together. Because all the other times there was just all the other members of the Avengers around them every time they talk. They never had that one-on-one situation. And she was at her most comfortable place watching Malcolm in the Middle sitcoms in her room, and like Vision just heard his thoughts, and it's like just come in and, like the one-on-one, like.
And if you listen to each of the shows that she's watching, the whatever the character says pertains to what she's going through at the time. Like in the beginning, like and even when she's in her room, he was like, oh, she's full of all sorts of stuff. Like talking about Wanda, like you to listen to, like, talking about the dolls. She's full of all sorts of stuff. I don't know, and like that's like just like building more on her character, building more on like what she's going through, how she can relate, how even how we watch shows, how we relate to characters, how it helps us and whatever we're going through. So seeing Wanda get that calmness and that stability from these shows, like it's just build more on her character, like you said. And like we've ultimately see Wanda like not be almost afraid of her powers. Like she doesn't like to use, she hasn't used the most. She's like, she'll say, oh, I can move this in my mind. She can do more than that. So I really do like how, you know, Agatha's there as like kind of like a unruly teacher to kind of be like, girl, you more than this. Like,
yeah, right.
you can't just,
You're more
you know?
powerful than this. Like, you can do a lot of stuff with this.
She's like, you use a probability spell. She's like, no, it was a dummy thing. She's like, girl, for 2 days, you use a probability spell. Like, that was a spell. Like, you know, and Wanda kind of being like, what is going on? So I liked how it's like, and like how Lagos ultimately affected her, how she was like sorry about it, like in a commercial, how she doesn't like, she's afraid because she killed people. So just seeing like this progression and seeing how like, girl, you're more than what you even know. I feel it's gonna boost her character a lot because we're ultimately breaking her character down. So I just love how like what she's gonna do after all this. So
Yeah, I mean, this is the genius of Kevin Feige. Like, I don't know if this was his plan all along, or if he saw the gaps in everything that he was working on and decided on this being the perfect way to fix those gaps. Because all of that Wanda backstory, right? And of course, once we get to like Civil War, Vision and Wanda are just this couple, and we don't get to see what made them a couple. It's like, well, we know they were together in the comics, so just put it in the movie. Now we know that Vision, just in a couple words, was able to reach her in a way that nobody else could. It's like, from Vision's perspective, like he says, like, I don't know loss because I've never been that close to someone. And yes, you're grieving and you're going through all of this. And I love that Chris put it in chat, but isn't grief like the perseverance of love? Like, isn't it well, what does it say? Isn't grief the perceiving of love? Like,
No, you're right. Preservation of love.
yeah, like that was amazing. You know what I mean? Like, the fact that you're grieving, the fact that you feel all of this is because you felt so much love for your family, for the people that you care about. So that was such a great moment between them, and I can definitely see from that moment why she would fall in love with Vision. And to her point, she sees Vision as more than just what he is, which is this synthezoid. Like, she just sees another living being that instantly connected with her. So I love that.
I
So
think
on that topic, let's continue talking about the whole conversation at the compound.
I was gonna bring up, like, it wasn't technically the whole first Mind Stone encounter with her abilities, and instead of her getting killed like the many people she sees like the whole Scarlet Witch image of herself, because she technically saw within the Mind Stone of Loki's staff. Like literally, you see it from the cube to the stone, and then to her technically future self. It's just more than just connection between her and Vision. It was also her and the stone and everything else within that, like togetherness too.
If you watch Age of Ultron, I remember I watched it, and when Thor first like brought Vision to, Wanda was like drawn to Vision. She was like checking him out. Like she was like, she felt like a connection. It's because she had the minds. Like it just all makes sense now.
The amplification from the stone itself.
Yeah, like I love that. But the compound, I like I said, it really solidified their relationship. And they're watching Malcolm in the Middle, and like the whole whatever happened in that scene, just talking about, like I said, like you're grieving because you ultimately had love, and so she didn't want to talk about it. And he kind of like, oh, whenever you feel free. She was like, what I want is for my brother to come back. And then she kind of realized like, okay, I'm talking about it. And so I just liked how like she's like, okay, here's someone I can like talk to and this and that, kind of understand. Because to be honest, Vision and Wanda were ultimately like the outcast of the Avengers. Like everyone else was kind of like running their heads around, like, you know, causing strife with each other. And WandaVision was always off with them by themselves, you know. And that's why I really liked their dynamic, because, you know, he's a synthesoid. They don't know what she was. That's why they were like, Wanda, you gotta stay your ass in the compound because you kill people. And she's like, what? They're like, we don't even know what to do with you, girl. Like that's why I like that scene, because like if you remember in was it Endgame or Age of Ultron, like Tony came into that same room, was like, you gotta stay in lockdown, and then Vision was like, yeah, I'll make it fun though. And she's like, you're gonna keep me here too, like that dishonor type thing, where it's like, you really gonna do that right here, like after what we shared? So like Civil War. So I kind of liked how they all bleeding together. It's like that one little room like that we've seen in films. So
yeah, that was amazing. Like there's so many like great things that they put into this episode that again just fills in so many different gaps that all fans have thought of since these characters were introduced. So let's move on to the sword facility, because this is completely different than to play out. When she walked in, I was like, oh shit, we're about to see the scene where she walks in and she steals Vision's body. And that's not what happens at all. So Spicy, again, we're gonna start with you. Like, what did you think of that sequence at the sword facility?
I'm not gonna lie, when he first showed that thing, I was like, Wanda, no, I didn't believe it. I'm like, Wanda doesn't do things without probable cause. Like, you know, she's not gonna just wild out, like, because like people say, like, they kind of in the comment like, Wanda's crazy. She's not crazy. Like, she does things for a reason. So I was like, I don't know, this guy's kind of fishy here. And seeing how that wasn't the case, I'm like, I knew it, because it's like she was grieving. Like, I don't think she would want to go crazy after all of this. So seeing how like she came in and kind of was like, I know what y'all doing over here. I just want to see him and bury him. That's all she wanted to do, was bury him so she can complete her grieving process. And since Hayward was testing her, he was like, oh yeah, come on in. You wanted to see this, right? Yeah, look. See what we're doing to him. And she's just like, what? He's like, what you gonna do about it? Like, he was like seeing what, like, that's why I'm like, her and Agatha, they working together, because they were both kind of coaching, like testing Wanda. But she couldn't get that grieving. And to see her, she said, I can't feel you. She's like, I don't feel you. You're like that did it for her. That ultimately pushed her to the edge. And seeing how apparently, I guess they bought like a lot somewhere, they're gonna live together. That kind of was like the final, like, that was the final straw.
The nail in the coffin.
Yeah, it was. Because like all she wanted to do was bury him. But he was right. He's like, you're not gonna bury $10,000 worth of vibranium, and like, you're not gonna do
$3 billion worth of vibranium.
Yeah, 10 million. You're not about to do that. But then he also said, like, he also would slip up, like I know in the beginning they were like, oh, Wanda. He's like, she doesn't have another name to be called by. Like, he's been slipping up all throughout the series. So I like that final scene where it's like, who is this Hayward guy? Like, who really is he? So, but I really did like that moment where it was kind of like, all right, we see everything's unraveling.
So yeah, for me,
like Chris is saying in chat real quick, is just like Hayward completely played her. It's like, yep, letting her see the body and letting her trying to connect to Vision, like you were saying, Spicy, and her not feeling that connection, and of course bringing on the whole thing, like you can't just bury $3 billion worth of vibranium. Like Vision is the most advanced, most powerful sentient piece of tech ever. You know what I mean? You can't just put it in the ground. So I mean, the fact that he was able to trick Wanda like that, man, I fucking hate that dude. I still think he's a Skrull, and we'll get there once we get to the end because I have some other thoughts on that. But Vash, continue with what you were saying.
I was gonna say is that to what James and plus Spicy and Chris said that they played her, that our boy Hayward definitely played her because he said, "Oh, what are you gonna do? Bring him back to life?" So he was trying to get that into her mind, where later on when she got to Westview, is to snap and bring the memories that she has of him, the memories that she has shared, in a way to bring him back to life. So that was real, and it brought him back, not physically, but in a type of spectrum form. And Hayward knew what he was doing. He did on purpose. He had a plan, and like he wanted her to see this rip off body showing that's breaking up apart. And now going to the post credit scene, not yet, but I'm curious to know, not that he has them online, does he have said memories, or is this a new file? Is it new footage? Is this a new software of said Vision? Is what I'm curious to know.
So we'll talk about that at the end. I don't want to get into it just yet, but I think he was ecstatic that Wanda showed up, because remember, this whole time he couldn't figure out how to power Vision. He all had this plan. So Wanda showing up and Wanda touching Vision, he wanted to see what would happen. It's like, could she bring him back to life? I think he just wanted to see what would happen. And I think it was like a double-edged sword. It's like, well, let's see if she can bring him back. And even if she can't, that's great, because then she'll just leave and that'll give her closure. And then that way we can just focus on Vision and do whatever we want. So I thought that was genius on Hayward's part. Like, I still think he's an asshole, but I think that's genius. Like, I don't know, man. Like,
so that's why he put the missile to her to bring back the drone out, so they could retract that type of energy for that reason.
Maybe. I don't think he thought that far ahead.
No, he didn't think that far.
I think he just took advantage of the situation.
Mm-hmm.
That could be it too. Yeah.
What do you think?
I don't know. I felt like, because Monica didn't know that he was gonna. I think he was like a science fair. He was poking at her, see, like, what are you gonna do about it? What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Like, I don't think he knew, but I think he was like Eisen, like he was like, oh, let's just see what happens. Let's leave him on, see what happens. Let's see. Like, he was like just doing multiple science experiments, because that's what this facility is. Like, it's all whole bunch of technology and like that. So I really think he was just like moving all the pieces around, and he just was just using this as a controlled like environment. He just was like using to see what he can get out of her, because like we said, no, we don't know what Wanda can do. Well, we know what she can do, Lagos. So we're like, what else can she do? And I think he was using that information to just move around and see. But now he's like, all right, now we know. Like, we got the power source. So,
like, I think that was smart from Hayward's point of view, especially since because they explained it. Wanda's power was amplified because of a Infinity Stone, and they're wondering maybe we use that same frequency to help power up their Vision robot and stuff like that, or power up the original Vision that she wanted. But no, we're gonna falsify all the camera shots, make her look like she's the villain, but really, like, we're just being military government, that sort of stuff. We want to have our own weapon. We don't have a weapon for own side, especially during the time where the 5-year gap, half the world disappeared. Nothing's to stop anybody from within the galaxy to help invade Earth and stuff. So they were thinking, like, let's use the Vision. Like, we're gonna use Vision again, but for our own military use in that sort of way. And they just never stopped, even after people came back. They just kept continuing. Like, you never know. We like, after some of the Avengers are gone. Tony's gone. Captain America's gone. We need more defenders. We need more weapons for our country and our state and for our world, but really it's just for under his palm of his hand, and he just wants military power.
And Wanda said that she was like, I woke up and he wasn't there. Like, everyone's coming back, and even when she's walking to the store facility, she sees like happy families finally getting their family back, and she's pissed. She's like, I came back from the stone and my husband's not here. Like I know you have him. So she's like, she wants her happy story. Thus, again, the whole sitcom thing. She's like, everyone's getting their family back. Everyone, like, my friends from like died, whatever. Like, I want my husband back. Like, so that I love that.
Yeah, man. It's so revealing. It's so exciting to see all of this stuff, but it's still incredibly heartbreaking. And Vash, I'm gonna kick it to you first. But Wanda gets to the car, and then she has this letter. She sees the letter from Vision. Vision bought land for them to have a home together. That is so life crushing. And that's why she went to Westview. She stood there, she stood at the foundation of a home that Vision wanted to build for them. And that grief, that love allowed her to push past her limits and unlock a new power that was hidden away inside her to create all of this. And watching that happen was absolutely amazing. And I'm glad that I was wrong on previous episodes. Like the last 2 episodes of villains that we did, I was like, okay, well, Wanda made a deal with some devil, possibly Nightmare, to get Vision back, because that's what Nightmare does. He makes a deal and then feeds off of like your consciousness and the people around you, right? That's what I thought. But this is so much better. Her love, her grief just allowed her to make this entire world. And like what Agatha was saying earlier on, it's like you had magic on autopilot. You are controlling thousands of people on autopilot. You weren't doing anything. And all Agatha wants is that kind of power. She wants that ability for herself. And I love that. But Vash, I'm going to kick it to you first. I want to know your thoughts on that entire sequence.
It's sad because she kept going around through the town. She saw the people. We saw the people that was playing the roles at the jobs. We saw the people that were just having their normal lives, picking up packages, doing groceries. And then Wanda just drives up to the driveway that Vision got. The house hasn't been built yet. And then she's just in despair. Like, it just takes one bad day. Just like the Joker in Earth, it takes one bad day for you just to become who you are. And Wanda had many freaking bad days. And she was at her breaking point. She was at the last straw. And she couldn't take it no more. She was in despair. She lost her man. She lost her brother. She lost her parents. She lost her home. There was, like, no good things for her to think of. Like, what is it that is good in her life? She came back after the blip. Most of the people's gone, Black Widow and everything, Tony's gone and everything. So she's like, what is it that I have left? So she's in despair. She's a breaking point. And I can understand that anybody that has had bad days or anybody that has had breaking points can understand where's Wanda coming from. And for you to just see where her cosmic energy explodes, because if anybody don't know, most powers, quirks, anything comic related, anything anime related, comes from emotions. And she was in her most breaking emotion, and her cosmic power just broke through the whole town. And that's why she was on autopilot. She was not knowing that it was her consciously, but she had an idea of what was going on, but not really consciously knowing that it was her. And that's what Agatha told her. Girl, you're on autopilot. You're controlling every single goddamn person here. And it was freaking beautiful. It was heartbreaking and sad. I felt like I had to pause a couple moments, like, damn, girl's literally in despair. Like, she's crying in despair. That's why our girl Monica Rambeau said that I could feel her emotions, because everyone felt it because of autopilot. So it was wild.
Yeah, Sam, I'll toss it to you.
Yeah, I was gonna also add to the point, like she mentioned this, like it was that dark, that emptiness, the nothingness, like the forever feeling of alone, nothingness, and she kept to feel it every single time, and then to the point where she literally has nobody left. At least like from when her parents died, she had her brother. When her brother died, she had Vision, and then when Vision died, she had no one else. She was just forever alone. This is the most that you've ever seen her. And add to the even worse part of it is, like, not only is Vision dead, you're literally like taking every part and carcasses of my husband's body to make your own weapon. That's the most even worse. It wasn't only just like I can't feel him, like I don't sense his consciousness, I don't sense any part of the frequency from the Mind Stone or anything. and she just her own powers. You can see from the lighting where she creates like the frequency of the Mind Stone to create Vision, and gives him his own personal thoughts, his mind, even his own powers. When we've seen it, his technically power seems to work within her own world of hex and stuff. That sort of thing. That's still within the stone. I'm gonna say like that's still within the Infinity Stone's powers, for sure, because we know it's like infinite, and all it really did is just help amplify her. But she doesn't need the amplifier anymore, and it's all herself. Boom, you create the vision of whatever you want it to be. But it's also thanks to that frequency she was able to create her own kids, because it seems like her kids are real, even though like it seems like it's really real to me now. But yeah, we always recapping back into the sitcom, like literally like the main ingredients is loss, sitcom, powers. From the beginning, from start to finish in the beginning with Sokovia, parents gone, sitcom watching the TV, her calm and her power manifesting. Pedro dies, watching Malcolm in the Middle sitcom, Vision's there, power like calm. And now for this, she comes back to life, Vision dead. She no longer has the calm, she breaks, and now she lives in a sitcom. Literally the whole three, like rinse and repeat in a different way in the strategy, and it was brilliant writing. This is brilliant, like TV show, all come together. It's cool. It's been really, really cool.
There's nobody to hold her down. Like there's no type of lightning rod. Like just like Barry and Wally, they have their own lightning rods. Wanda has no lightning rod to hold her down, and that's very sad.
Yeah, Spicy, let me get your thoughts on that scene, and then we'll move into that end credit scene, and then we can head out for the day.
All right, so like I said, Agatha's is ultimately a therapist throughout this whole thing, and I love it because you see Wanda going through the 7 stages of grieving. And it's funny, I watched this video, and this girl even pointed out, she was like, if you notice, when Wanda says, not previously on WandaVision, beginning she was happy. Second time, she kind of gets less and less enthusiastic of saying it. Even this one, she was mad. She's like, this time, previously on WandaVision, like she was like mad. So it's like you see like her voice kind of changes throughout that. And then with that final scene, it was just so powerful because like it explains so much. Like it seemed like she was taking like the power stone out of her, because you see like her power red, and like that's this power stone kind of separating and creating Vision. And that's how I feel like her kids are chaos, magic, and Vision mixed together, like because they have Pedro's speed, and her other son has her powers, all her lineage, nothing to do with Vision. She created them herself. They are her kids. Yes, she made them. So, and that's why Agatha had them, because she's like, these kids are a product of this environment, and I need them to I need them because they're like their own beings. I like that whole explanation, because I was like, how are these kids even here? But so seeing how it all kind of pans together, and I just love it. Like I said, like the Trinity, parents death, brother death, husband, like kind of like that completion cycle, and then Agatha revealing you're the Scarlet Witch, like that's just like that whole full circleness of like sacrifice ultimately. So I really did like it, and I really was like, whoa. I was like, oh my god. I was like about to cry. So I'm like, oh my god, like she going through it, and I loved it. I really did.
I want to go back to when you said like the whole she got so angry, she got emotional every time she said previously on. It comes to the point where the title of episode is previously on. Like she just didn't want to say anymore. Just put it as a title. It's
no
like,
titles. Yes, she's like, I'm done with it. I'm done. Like I love it. I love it.
I just know that. I just know that's the title. I was trying to figure like
that's the title.
I'm like, why does it keep saying previously on? Like I know I was just watching WandaVision last week. You didn't tell me what I was watching, but I'm like, oh, that was the fucking title the whole time. Shit.
Yeah, that was the title.
Wow.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah, it's such great writing, man. This show is absolutely amazing. And with everything that we learned in this episode, I'm curious to see what does this means for the kids, because we know that Vision was created strictly from Wanda's powers, much like the kids. So if the kids leave the Hex, do they still exist now? Like I don't know for sure anymore. Because before I was like, yeah, whatever she creates, because whatever she alters changes forever. But they weren't altered, they were created. So it's like that's the difference. So what does that mean?
The Big Bang, like Monica's powers, like the Big Bang, like she going through like it's like another universe and her getting her powers. It's like that's Monica, the kids. I feel like they're both a product of this Nexus environment, like
And I think
things like that.
and what Agatha thought, like she thought it was transmutation for a second, because when she said like when she took out the bug, she transformed that bug into the bird, and then like literally drew that bird to feed to a rabbit. She thought the twins were a transmutation. Actually, this whole time.
And that explains Pietro. I knew Pietro was fake, and I think, and I told my sisters, I'm like, yeah, she altered his appearance. Like I'm like, that's not. And she said, so yeah, your brother's dead. It's kind of hard to do that.
She did explain necromancy was possible, like, but I couldn't get I couldn't cut his body, and his body's full of holes. It's like,
and plus she said that, and plus she said that the body is in a different country. So I'm like, oh, so I guess he got buried in Sokovia. Okay, that's why they were fighting. I'm like, okay, it makes sense why that body is now over here, because we're in the whole different side of New Jersey. So I'm like, okay, that makes total sense.
Well, it's like the law of death. You can't bring anyone back. Like that's the law of death if in anything. So seeing how she like was explaining that to Wanda and how she's kind of like, but you can create life. Like that's what she said. What Scarlet Witch meant. Like you're a combustion of life. Like. She was like, "That's let me hold on to your kids real quick because I kind of I want that. Get over here." Like,
so that was the next question because in the chat they said, "What do we think about Agatha? Do we still think she's a villain? Do we still think that she's working for somebody like Nightmare or maybe Mephisto, or do we think she's in the gray area?" Because me and James wrote in the comment that I think that she's in the gray area, that she's working for herself because she wants to cast magic. But maybe she could also be told to go get Wanda for the cast magic, so she could also be working for somebody, but also working for herself at the same time. So it could be either or.
So I think all of this is in her self-interest, and I think she's simply channeling the power of Nightmare or Mephisto or a bunch of different demons. I think she's just channeling their magic now to make herself more powerful. But all of this is all for her selfish needs, right? I wouldn't call her a villain. She's an antagonist because she doesn't care what happens to other people. The only thing that she cares about is figuring out what gave Wanda her abilities and finding a way to get that kind of power herself so that she can do whatever she wants. I would call her an antagonist more than just like a straight up villain. Spicy, what are your thoughts?
I'm not familiar with the comments, but I did some research. Didn't they said like Mephisto like soul like is through the twins? So do you think like maybe Agatha's gonna be like that like medium where she's probably gonna like use the twins to kind of like see like kind of like as a mind stone and like and then also part of Wanda's powers to kind of like absorb maybe. I feel like that might be the route they're gonna go to kind of fill that like little Mephisto like Easter egg type thing. I'm not too sure, but like from what I've seen in the comments, like, the twins are like ultimately like the most important like accessories to like the whole thing. So I think that'll be interesting to see.
I think Mephisto's already here. I think he's the rabbit. As you see,
yeah, I think that rabbit's a portal.
Yeah, like either like the portal, like remember she stole the brooch from the mom, and then you see the rabbit, like she's just like literally petting it, and then feeds it. Feeds it like the bug turned to mutate into a bird. I think that is Mephisto or Nightmare or whoever.
They said her son's name is last name is Scratchy, and the rabbit's name is Senior Scratchy. So they think like maybe that's her son from what I've been seeing. So I'm like it could be.
That could also be her familiar because we know that witches hang around with a cat and everything, so that could also be it. And we know from what in the chat says that she also stole their magic in the beginning of the episode of the witches as well, because when James mentioned that girl killed her mom, killed all the witches, she also took their magic by absorbing their life energy and everything else around that.
Yeah, and Chris is saying it in chat, but that Yo Magic commercial makes so much more sense now. Like that could have been, I think it is like a straight up reference to Agatha. Like the only way to survive is to absorb magic, and that's exactly what she did. Now, as far as Mephisto goes, in the comics, the kids weren't real. They were soul fragments of Mephisto. So in this, since things are a little different, maybe, I don't know, I'm not going to put too much stock in it, but maybe Agatha will use the kids as soul fragments in a different way, use them as sacrifices to bring Mephisto or Nightmare into this universe so that she can then access even more of their power. That's what I'm thinking now. But I mean, who knows how it could go? Like, I love what they've been able to do with this show, man. It's been absolutely incredible. So let's get into that mid-credit scene because I can't wait any longer.
Copy, let's go.
So this is absolutely amazing. We have White Vision in this, bro. In the comics, this version of Vision was created when Vision's old body was destroyed. All of his previous memories, all of his brainwaves, all of that stuff was erased, destroyed, and this new body was created. And to see this happen is absolutely incredible because we know that this version of Vision is going, Hayward is going to send this Vision to destroy Wanda. So watching that fight between them when Wanda sees this other version of Vision, I don't know what that's going to do to her mentally. Like she's already so broken. I don't know what's going to happen. Spicy, I want to toss it to you. Like, what were your thoughts when you saw the mid-credit scene?
I was just because like it's funny because as soon as the episode ended, I was like, okay, and I kind of sped too fast. I was like, where's the end credits at? And I went back. I was like, okay, here it is. And I was like, wow. So her powers can linger on objects. Like another new thing we're learning about Wanda, where I'm like, wow, okay. And then the scene,
people too.
Yeah, people too. And seeing how like this is Vision's true body and how ultimately that's like. I want to say like the copy she makes like a spirit, so I feel like I don't know. I just feel like that's gonna be an interesting clash because Vision ultimately is trying to look for the Vision she created, is trying to look for Wanda. So I really want to see how White Vision and the Stone Vision interact with each other because right now Stone Vision is like upset, but he wants to make sure his kids are okay. So having that on his heart is nice because how Agatha is holding the twins. So just seeing how that battle's gonna go through, and how Wanda's gonna be in the middle of it because I think that Vision can't really withstand outside the Hex, whereas this Vision obviously can. But both with different power sources, all kind of going to Wanda. So I really like how it's just like what's gonna happen, and I think Monica's gonna be that wild card to kind of like come in because ultimately she was nowhere to be seen in this episode. So I like how it's like. Yeah, but Monica got her power, so let's see what she gonna do, kind of thing. So, but ultimately, that scene just was like, this last episode gonna be crazy. Like, I'm just excited.
And also in comics, like White Vision also reverts back to being the Vision that we know when he gets back all of his memories, his programming, and all that stuff. So now that Sword has taken on the responsibility of rebuilding his body, Wanda should be able to theoretically to just take the consciousness from the one that she she created in the Hex and just put him in this body. Vash, I'm going to toss it to you because I know you have stuff to say.
James just literally said my theory I was just about to bring up because this is the pros and cons of work with people that know you too well. Because James just literally said my whole theory I was gonna bring up, and Chris said it like. Paul Bennett said that he's excited to work with somebody that he has never worked with before, and technically he's gonna be working with himself because Paul Bennett, aka Vision from inside the Hex, is gonna be fighting himself most likely first as round one, and then maybe the White Vision is gonna win, and then he's gonna fight Wanda or something in that type of realm. But if Wanda sees both of them fighting, maybe she could use her powers into a little fusion, like aka Dragon Ball Z. So like, hey, Trunks and Gohan, fuse together, aka White Vision and Fake Vision, and that's how they're gonna get the real Vision back, and get the memories and everything, and get the whole complicated relationship back together. So it's very interesting if that happens in episode 9. And if it does, that will really blow my mind because I just came up with a theory. Like, once the episode ended, like, she could literally just do what happened in the comics with Tom King's version of the Vision. Just put the old Vision and the new Vision back together. Like, that's, like, it's possible. But what happened, that'll be interesting to know. And how much would it affect Wanda herself, knowing that her husband came from being dead to alive, and then the one that she'd been hanging out the whole time was dead, but it was a illusion of herself. So like, this would be really messing up her whole psychosis. So like, after all this, she really needs to see some type of therapist, because this will be messing up anybody's mind. So pray to her for that.
Sam?
I was gonna say, like, so same thing theories of you guys, but there's so many directions that they can go with. Like, and that's the great part of this great writing. Like, you can go anywhere, but you would love to go this way, but it can also work really well that way, putting the mind vision that Wanda created into the body physical form that Hayward created, it's something we would see. But the thing is, it might be a mix of both AIs of Vision and whatever AI that Haywood created too. Because remember, even Vision himself, he's not Jarvis and he's not technically Ultron. He was just a mix of both. Now you're mixing a third AI that whatever Haywood created into this mix, who's not completely. He's Vision, but he's not the Vision that they know or recognize in that sort of way. That might not like connect emotionally wise with the Wanda that they've had right now. So like he can like connect with, they know like he has a relationship with Wanda and there's some relationship with her kids and his kids, but they're not like the real father kind of thing. And mentally that's sort of ways what I'm thinking, what I can see. But it will be a whole Vision versus White Vision and Agatha versus Wanda together. It's literally the whole magic versus technology kind of situation. But who knows? I'm also hearing a rumor that the last episode might be much longer, might be the longest one that they're gonna get since it's gonna be the last episode, and there's no episode 10. So I guess you could combine 2 episodes into one. That's
Most
hopefully
likely,
it feels like that.
most likely episode 9 would be like an hour and some change. Like that's around the sweet spot because they said that a couple weeks ago there's 2 hours left. So if this one was 40 minutes and some like 1 minute and 2, so this one will probably be an hour and 10 or like an hour and 5. It depends on how they're gonna cut it, but there's not confirmed with time left.
Mm-hmm. But I can also see like if she wants to keep the Vision that she wants to know, isn't there a whole reason why you have a whole lot is so that you can always come back home for Wanda. So like have Vision just lives in that home, and whenever she wants to come back home, she can always go there and meet Vision again during that setup. And we know she can do that. She could do autopilot. She can have literally do all her own powers just like that anyway. So I see so many opportunities in that, and that's why I think that can also be possible. She created that home, owning the hexes around that home, because that's Vision can't come out the house, can't leave the house, can't come in the house. It's almost like his own prison, but at the same time, he wouldn't mind it because at least he knows that he exists in that home. So he can still connect with the television, know what's going on what's going on in the world, and Wanda can always come back home to always see him again, kind of thing. And that's also.
I think he might get lost in like the multiverse madness type thing, because I these kind of shows always end not always on a good note. Like I feel it in my heart and soul, so I feel like we're gonna get Vision back, but I feel like either like Nexus line's gonna play into part where it's like he's gonna get lost, which is gonna probably make Vision like, okay, now I gotta go save him again type thing, or something like that, where it's like it's not gonna be a full-on happy story because it's just too much going on right now to where it's like we got too many shows coming in that's gonna pan into it, you know. And so I don't really think, and I think maybe her kids too, her kids and Vision probably gonna get lost in this multiverse type thing that Aka's probably gonna do, and it's gonna give her like that confidence to want to get stronger or something like that, to, you know, want to go on this journey with Monica. So I'm very excited.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see where this goes. Like, I do think that the finale will be definitely more than an hour. There's still so much to wrap up. Like, we need to see Pietro with Monica. We need to see like Vision and Wanda going up against White Vision, and how all of this is going to play out. Like, there's so much for them to do with the time that's left, and I can't wait to see it. Like, next Friday is going to be absolutely insane. I think this will probably be the first episode where I'm going to stay up until like 3 a.m. and then just watch it immediately, because I don't want spoilers on Twitter at all. But before we head out, Spicy, I'm going to start with you. Let's get final thoughts on WandaVision episode 8, and then we're going to head out.
Oh, final thoughts. I love it. 10 out of 10 in my book. I'm super excited for the setup for the future shows and movies to come. I just love Wanda. I love that Wanda's getting that development that she lacked throughout all these movies, and how she's not just like depressed, like fully depressed, like she's broken down. She went through all the stages of grieving, and now she's like, all right, I gotta make some moves now. So I'm really excited.
Sam?
Love this episode. I think this was what a lot of people who has no comic book knowledge, who's been kept going on and forward, who did not have anything wrong with the entire series at all from the beginning, even though people complain about it. They literally got to this point. They rewarded with this episode saying, here you go. Now you know the whole, like, the story of this entire thing, the whole trauma, the part. It's like, okay, so much worth it. It was worth waiting for. if you were to ask me into this. Like, I'm not a huge comic book reader, but I've waited for this moment. I'm consistently watching. I was so interested. I love the characters, and now we are rewarded with the knowledge and story of Wanda, her trauma, and how Vision came to be. All worth it. I don't know why people had to complain from the beginning. You just are not patient enough for this episode, and wow, worth it.
Yeah, they're not patient at all, and some people just have an inability to look deeper than surface level. But Vash, final thoughts?
I love it. I said a lot of my thoughts throughout the show. I enjoyed it. Can't wait for episode 9. I really have to stay up or see what happens because I want to be in a long time. And at the end, I'm excited because I don't know what's going to be happening. So at the end, this was a great time to talk about episode 8. Episode 9 is going to be so much talk about the last episode.
Yeah, it's going to be a stacked episode for sure. But real quick, before we do the outro, Chris wanted to know if you guys think we'll see the full Scarlet Witch costume by the end of WandaVision.
Yes, absolutely. I think we might, or else with Spicy Lady saying with dimension, like she have to go to a portal dimension, and that's the whole reason why Scarlet Witch full costume coming out into this aura, the circle thing. That's why, like, many possibilities. That's why I said, like, there's any direction to go for, and like whatever you think, they're gonna do it much better than your expectations, that sort of stuff. So I'm up for anything.
Spicy?
Yeah, I think we're going to get because we got that kind of like the old costume and like the little gag episode, but I think this one's gonna be the full like on like official updated costume that I'm excited to see what they're gonna do on it. And I think that Mind Stone when she first got it was like a vision because it's a Mind Stone. So I really think that's gonna be like a vision of her going into like the multiverse, like officially like accepting who she is type thing. So I'm excited to see. And I want the little headpiece.
And plus, I hope she's be called Scarlet Witch from now on as her hero name. Like we have, Iron Man, like Captain America. I hope her name.
I want her to
say
it.
Yeah, like my name
Keep
is
the
Scarlet
name
Witch.
Scarlet Witch.
Like I want that. Like I was called from some lady. I got call me Scarlet Witch from now on. Like that.
I like the consistent red throughout the whole series, like the red jacket when she's a kid, the red car, the red, like everything was red. I was like,
everything.
Yes, everything.
I absolutely love it, man. This series is just, it's so good. I knew it would be good, but it far surpassed my expectations, and I just can't wait to see the finale. I can't wait to see what the finale leads into. If we're going to get some type of Easter egg for Spider-Man No Way Home, or if Doctor Strange is going to show up in the finale for some reason, if Mephisto Nightmare is going to show up. There's so many different possibilities for what could happen, and I just can't wait. Guys, thank you so much for being here. This was actually like so much fun. Like I was so glad to have Spicy finally on a podcast here on the channel. Sam finally got you here on the channel. So Spicy, why don't you give the fans your plugs? Tell them where they can find you online.
Well, thank you for having me on here. I had a lot of fun. I've been itching to talk WandaVision because I'm just like my theory. So I'm glad we got them all out. You guys can catch me on my podcast, Spicy Lady Talks, available on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. I actually made a Patreon, Spicy Lady Entertainment. You guys go check that out. New content on the way. I have a special project that I'm about to be working on. Like probably post in April, so be on the lookout for that. Instagram, Spicy Lady Entertainment, Twitter, Spicy Lady ENT, Twitch, Spicy Lady Gaming. I'll be gaming soon. My PC's in the shop, but I'm about to be gaming really soon, so follow me on there. And on YouTube, Spicy Lady Talks. I'll be posting more live reactions on there and more videos. So yeah.
Yeah, Sam, where can the people find you?
Guys, you can always follow me in the social media, SamTheMangaMan. I also the hosting on Anime Lately podcast. You can always catch it up on Thursdays. We didn't have a new episode last week, but this week it's okay. We'll be back next Thursday with more talk of anime, manga, all the love stuff, and we might have a guest. I think we have a guest next episode, so stay tuned for that, guys.
Vash?
You guys could always watch me here in James every Friday. I was about to say Monday. Every Friday to talk about WandaVision, Captain Falcon and the Winter Soldier, the Loki series, everything that we bring up. The Flash comes back next week as well, so we will be definitely talking about the Flash next Friday as well. So very excited to see season 7 of the Flash and how it turns out, and Superman Lois season 2. Very curious to know, and follow me at Legendary Vash everywhere else.
Yeah, you guys know where you can find me. All of our social media will be in the links in the description below. Like Vash said, Flash is coming back. We're going to be talking Superman and Lois. We're also going to be talking the WandaVision finale. So C4S Villains episode 8 is going to be a stacked one. So make sure you guys are subscribed. Share the video with your friends. Tell them about the show because I have a blast doing this every single week. I told you, I couldn't wait to get Spicy on this show because I know she has so much to say, so much knowledge to bring to the table. It was an honor to have Sam here. I get to talk to Sam every week on Anime Lately, but to get him here to talk comics and superhero shows, it was an absolute honor. Again, chat, thank you guys so much for being here. I know it was a bit early. We had to switch some things up in the schedule, but next week we will be back at 8 p.m. CST, 9 EST next Friday. So stay tuned for that. And we will see you guys on the next one.
Peace.